probing allegations of impropriety against President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to meet at least 3 times before the third term resumes next month, and this is in an effort to get the Section 89 inquiry off the ground. This is notwithstanding the week's legal proceedings brought by Ramaphosa to halt oral evidence until the Western Cape High Court has conducted a judicial review of the parliamentary report that has given rise to the inquiry. Committee Chairperson Magwenya says Parliament's process periods will not stall the work needed to conduct the inquiry. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
With political parties having made their inputs to the terms of reference for the Section 89 inquiry, these are now being consolidated by the committee's support staff in preparation for its next meeting. Speaking after court proceedings in the President's interdict application yesterday, Chairperson Magwenya said the work would continue despite Parliament's constituency breaks and until a court ruling instructs it otherwise. He says it's a misnomer to suggest the inquiry is yet to start.
Concluding the terms of reference, appointing the evidence leaders, finalizing the witnesses is the work of the committee. People must not say the work has not begun. The work has begun.
For this reason, legal counsel for the African Transformation Movement, Advocate Anton Katz, yesterday argued that the President's interdict application was misplaced.
So the court cannot grant an order in respect of something that has already happened and to try to stop that. You cannot do that. At the court, no. Once the horse has left the stable, you can't stop the horse from leaving the stable.
A ruling is expected to be made within a week's time. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Nkosini Hlabisa says cadre deployment must be abolished if municipalities are to survive. Hlabisa also says municipal councillors should have a matric as a minimum requirement, and those in finance portfolios should possess an understanding of finances. Hlabisa was addressing the Cape Town Press Club last night about the local government white paper and the rise of coalition governments. Babalondenze has more.
COGTA Minister Nkosini Hlabisa says one of the main goals of the local government white paper is the professionalization of local government. He says if there's weak governance, nothing will ever succeed. Hlabisa says major infrastructure can't be maintained and managed on goodwill alone, and councils need competent engineers and not deployed cadres.
We are elevating this thing of cadre deployment. We are putting it and we are flushing it in the toilet. Just go away. Because cadre deployment, employing people on the basis of political association, is what has made our municipalities fail to perform.
Hlabisa says if a cadre is deployed to a certain municipality, it becomes difficult to institute consequence management.
Because sometimes you'll find that a cadre is a leader outside. If you dismiss him, you will be accounting to him outside after work.
Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Cape Town.
And at least 20 children and 1 adult have died in a crash in Uganda. Police say a school bus driver lost control of the vehicle and it veered off the road. The bus from King David Junior School in the capital, Kampala, was returning from a school trip today. Police have shared an image of a badly mangled and overturned bus, saying investigations are ongoing, with several other children and adults receiving treatments in hospital. Gold is trading at $3,999.45 an ounce. The rand is at 16.46 to the dollar, 22.17 to the pound, 18.84 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $83.90 a barrel.
In the traffic, if you are in Amalgam, you can still anticipate those delays on Main Reef Road. This is as you approach the Crown Interchange. And in Germiston, there's still some slow-moving traffic on the N3 North as you head towards the Geldenhuys Interchange.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Public Protector Koleka Gcaleka is expected to provide an update on her office's ongoing investigation into allegations that government failed to prevent food safety violations at spaza shops.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702. Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Happy Friday. It's wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I trust you're well this morning. So the 702 open line starts right now. And you know it's a Friday, and every Friday we do Gratitude Friday. This is where you can call us on 011-883-0702 or send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702 to tell us what you are grateful for this week. What happened this week that put a smile on your face? What happened this week that warmed up your heart? We want to celebrate with you. Give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. How sad was the news yesterday of Seputla Sebogodi's passing? The veteran actor passed away at the age of 63 on Wednesday following I think there were complications from diabetes, according to his family. He was best known for playing Kenneth Mashaba on the popular TV soap Generations. And I mean, he's gone out to play many other characters and many other roles throughout his career. But this is a man who's given us unforgettable performances on television and on stage. So, yeah, his contribution to the arts does leave an enduring legacy, which will continue to inspire many in the years to come. And I wonder what roles you remember him for. Remember him here when he was on Generations?
Because Kenneth Mashaba ke nagana gore nka dira sengwe le sengwe se ke se batlang. Lucky Mr. S as a thing, Mr. Mashaba, or he would have put you right in your place.
Why couldn't?
Oh, that was fast. So, do you know na sa batla go bona? What a rude man.
So that's where he was talking with Queen Moroka. Nelly Moroka, ne Queen Moroka. Sophie Ndaba was Queen Moroka on Generations. Here's another clip of him from Generations.
Skulu. Kuya byang ka mo waraka wa potego. Funa nwana. Au ushetsule bitse. Se tlhapa ka maswe se ba reng ke Preska, of course.
Hey, long ayikwenzeke man.
Usho?
Ngizokunikeza isiqalo mala.
No. Ke nyaka patela.
Kodwa lalela.
Ga o se le soka se dira. Ke nyaka Preska. Wa tswa ke na le molora. Ke mo swara ke mo dia dilo.
You are going to push me too far, Kenneth.
Ke rante we ke lebeletseng. Ke no go bona re breaking point ya gago e ko kae. Le gore o ka sacrifice Preska mo godimo ga moro wa gago le mawande na.
Oh, what an incredible actor. But let's be honest. while he has played many other roles, I mean, his role on Generations defined South Africa's television for many years. I mean, from the phrases he used on the show to introducing viewers to Sepedi phrases. Remember, Aborekwa. Many people actually heard him say that on Generations, and they used to use that in, whenever they're having conversations in their social circles. What was your favorite phrase of his? Let's celebrate him on 011-883-0702. And you know what? This makes me wonder, are there actors you cannot separate from certain characters? Like, Sebogodi for me will always be Kenneth Mashaba, and for many people, like Connie Ferguson will always be Karabo Moroka. Sophie Ndaba will always be Queen. Cindy Dlatu Kitandaz from Movango, or Lindy Wedekana from The River. And I wonder which are the characters you can't separate from certain characters. I mean, even, is it Stumom Charlie, the one who played Jonasi on the Netflix series The Polygamist? He will always be Jonasi, henceforth. Who else? Joe Mafela. I think he'll always be Stumo. Is good as nice. 011-883-0702. Give me a call. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. So I was really hoping that we give Brian Padayachi, the senior investigator at IDEC, a break today and talk about other things. But my goodness, we are sitting with a crisis. So News 24 is reporting this morning. They spoke to this Dineo Mokwele's lawyer, and News 24 is reporting this morning that the crime intelligence brigadier, Dineo Mokwele's lawyer, says she's confident that the fraud and corruption charges she's facing over her appointment will be dropped because of the evidence being laid at the Madlanga Commission and her own representations to the prosecution's head, Ndi Motibi. Remember, there's a review that was announced on these crime intelligence cases by the NDPP, and as a result, that has stayed any arrest warrant that was due to be effected against these crime intelligence officers. So in the next 5 minutes, I'll bring in the spokesperson of the NPA to come and explain, because I do wonder, it's the NDPP, when you are watching investigators from IDEC, which is under the NPA, or which was under the NPA, when you watch that, what do you do? What do you say? What's your next move? Because that is concerning. Not just concerning because clearly there are people who are doing as they like and they're not following the law. They're fighting their own battles using these institutions. But also you must be worried about public trust, because that's important. Public trust in institutions like the NPA or IDEC. So I'm going to speak to Kaiser Khanyago in the next couple of minutes. But yeah, News 24 is now reporting that the lawyer of Dineo Mokwele, remember, she is really at the center of these allegations and charges against Dumisani Khumalo and these crime intelligence officers. But Padayachi yesterday couldn't explain why this woman was also charged with corruption. He couldn't explain. What does she have to do with the allegations that Dumisani Khumalo and other intelligence officers manipulated vetting processes to give her a job, and by extension, that was fraud and corruption? I mean, we spoke about it yesterday, that it's almost like they're charging her for what she may do in the future. You can't charge people for what they may or may not do in the future. Listen to what Advocate Mahlape Sello said yesterday when she was trying to get Padayachi to understand how they've literally nearly destroyed this woman by charging her when there's no basis to charge her for corruption.
I think my concern is deeper than that. I do not, with respect, accept your explanation, Colonel. You caused for somebody to be arrested. Somebody who, on your own facts, was not complicit in the crime that you describe in the charge sheet. But because of your affidavit and the way the charge sheet is drafted, you caused for her arrest. That's irresponsible in the extreme. That's abuse of power. And it is not enough for you to say noted. No, Colonel, I don't accept that. I worry for the rest of the citizenry. Must I? I don't accept your answer.
Yeah, I mean, how could you accept it? And now listen to Advocate Selo again, asking Brian Padayachi if he knows why Dino Mokwele was actually appointed. Because remember, there was that term, mechatronics. Remember, Advocate Dumisani Khumalo testified last year that the advertised post that Mokwele successfully applied for was for someone who has qualified in mechatronics. Because you want to combine both mechanical engineering and electrical engineering to suit our COVID activities. That's what they wanted her to do. And this woman apparently was a supervisor of technicians who were doing mechanical and electrical work in the manufacturing part of the car. I mean, that's the person who's suitable for a position like this, if you look at the ad. But remember, Brian Padayachi told us yesterday, he didn't even look at the advert. Are you kidding me? As an investigator, you're trying to see if someone got the job they didn't qualify for, but you don't even check the advert? Oh, listen to Advocate Selo here, asking him, Padayachi, if he understood why they wanted to hire this woman.
At 8.8.3, you say one of the shortlisted candidates' written tests were not properly evaluated and considered to establish content and quality, nor were they properly marked. Now, to the point that Commissioner Khumalo previously made, that the advertisement is published with requirements, and I think if I recall, this lady qualified because, amongst others, she had a degree or qualification in mechatronics. I don't know the relevance of that to the job requirements. I don't even know what that involves. Do you by any chance know what the study of mechatronics involves? You don't?
Not really. I think it's got to do with something with mechanical and a little bit of electronics.
Okay.
Specifically in the car industry, something like that.
Okay. Because then if you don't, it interests me that you can make a call on how the written tests were evaluated and you determine they were not properly marked. My view would be to reach that conclusion, you have to have an appreciation of the content of the test and the marking allocated for the response to the questions posed in this highly technical field, I would assume. And yet you seem to come across as suggesting on this score you are more like me. We don't know what mechatronics is. How do you reach that conclusion about whether the tests were properly evaluated and considered to establish content and quality?
And these are the questions he can't answer. Now, let me play this last clip of Dumisani Khumalo explaining when he was at the commission last year that the interview panel for the technical services vacancy that Mokwele had applied for, which he had been selected, had actually recommended her as a candidate number one and insisted that she did meet all the requirements. But here's Dumisani Khumalo explaining why they needed someone with some technical expertise.
Concerning the appointment of Brigadier Mokwele, who used to work for BMW before her appointment. Am I correct that she was appointed directly from BMW?
That is correct.
To be a brigadier in subs?
That is correct, Commissioner.
What were the advertised requirements for the position?
We were looking for the head of our technical support services. Without detailing it that much, so as we don't expose our covert methodologies, but it's a person, firstly, who's qualified in mechatronics, a person who can combine both mechanical engineering and electronical engineering to suit our covert activities needs. So those people are normally found then in these environments like BMW or or Ford, because they are doing both electronical and mechanical engineering.
That's it. And if Padayachi had done his job and even looked at the ad and what crime intelligence, the skills that crime intelligence was trying to get and fit in crime intelligence, then he would have understood why they went to get someone who was a technician or was supervising technicians at BMW. But you could see here, this thing has everything to do, I think, with General Khan. Why? Because Padayachi in his affidavit somehow mentions that why in the interviewing panel, Khan, you could have included Khan in the interviewing panel. Why Khan? When the prescripts do not somehow constrain and restrict Dumisani Khumalo from appointing maybe either of these generals or, the 9 provincial crime intelligence top heads. The prescripts, which of the prescripts have been violated, he couldn't say. But he mentions General Khan, and he wants us to believe that no, it was coincidental that he mentioned Khan and not any other general who could have been in the interviewing panel. But also, let me remind you of something, because we've got to connect the dots always. Remember, there was an evidence leader at the Madlaga Commission who was talking about Firoz Khan's wealth and how concerning it is. And evidence that was presented there showed that Khan was part of somehow a scheme to manipulate a tender for supplying car parts to the SAPS. That was one of the allegations. He owns a car parts company. I think he even said he gets paid, I think, was it 3 million a year or so from that company. Do you see how conflicted he is here? Do you think it's a coincidence that General Khan, who owns a car parts company that does business, I think, already with crime intelligence, wouldn't want his own person to be appointed as this technician who's going to help in COVID activities? I see a link there. Of course he would want his person there, because then that just links to the company that he already has outside of crime intelligence that owns car parts and does this kind of work. It's really, really interesting, the things that have come out. Later on, I'm going to play you some clips of Jeremy Very. Jeremy Very, remember, is the former Western Cape head of detectives. We interviewed him on the show recently when we were trying to understand police rankings and how they work. And he explained that you could be a clerk. Like, I could leave this job today and go to work for the SAPS or crime intelligence, whatever division, and they look at my salary. If my salary matches that of a brigadier, that's the rank that I get. That's how things are in the SAPS. I'm going to play you a clip where he explains that, because IDEC, there's no way that IDEC doesn't understand how rankings work, because even Padayachi himself used to be a crime intelligence officer. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 0727021702. At 10, we're going to do the Across the Desk feature, and today I'm going to be hosting Nelson Mandela's granddaughters, who produced that gripping documentary on Netflix, The Trial of Winnie Mandela. At 11 o'clock, we'll do our relationship and sex feature, and today we're discussing how to enhance sexual pleasure in same-sex relationships. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Clement, get a clip of Seputla Sebogodi. Hey,
oh, yes.
Like generation is nothing. Nkwesheng, no. Nkwesheng was on another level. He was on another level. Please, just get that clip.
Oh, yeah, we must find the clip of Nkwesheng, yeah. But yeah, Nkwesheng. But then this defeats perhaps the argument I was trying to make, because I used to think that every actor is going to have one defining career. Like, I mean, it's different in the US. I mean, I think of Meryl Streep and I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman has played so many characters and she's come top, I think of my favorite actress, Elizabeth Moss, and she's played so many different characters. And I think that's the case, in fact, because even with Nkwesheng, he was Nkwesheng before he became Kenneth Mashaba. And then he became Kenneth Mashaba, And I mean, some people remember him from Suburban Bliss. But he's played so many characters where he really embodied the character to a point that when we meet him in public, we call him by that character's name, hey?
Morning, Clement. This is Eric. I remember Seputla Sebogodi with just one phrase. Me and my son remember him on Generation saying, "I'm surrounded by fools." Have a nice day. Condolences to the family.
Hi, Clement. Yeah, I know the gentleman. Not actually, I knew him first from Bophelo ke Semphego, because remember he took the role of Ngwishing after the late Patrick Shai moved on. So that's where I started to know him many years ago. So on Generations, it was later. But what a man, what an actor. I mean, when I heard about his passing yesterday, yeah, I could feel it. So yeah, condolences to everyone who loved him, but most importantly, his family.
Yeah.
Sure.
Condolences, man, to his family and friends and colleagues. Let me go to your calls now on 011-883-0702. Pumlani, you are in Soweto. What do you want to say? Good morning. Hi, Pumlani.
Hey, Clement.
Hey, Tada.
Yes, Clement. Can you hear me?
Yes, Baba. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. Clement. Yes, Clement, man. You know, Usputla, you played the Ike Muloy on Suburban, please. During the dawn of democracy, my brother, and I remember my family just moved to a white suburbs to say. All those challenges that he was having with Billy Dwyer, them saying we are making noise, you can't slaughter here. Hey, Ike dealt with those things as Ike Muloi and Mutabi, as the wife, it's Tandy, and there was Desmond Tuve. I know, respect to the brother, farewell to the brother, will forever hold him in our hearts.
Absolutely. Pumlani in Soweto, thank you. Kustas, you're calling us from Midrand. Do you want to talk about Padayachi and Ida? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, Clement, let me take you on your last point of connecting the dots before I get to the point of why I called. Hey, Clement, I don't link Khan only to his business part. You got to link him to a crime syndicate that operating in the country that is related to car parts. Because it cannot just be you are just covering his business only. Because there's a well-known criminal syndicate that operating in the country on car parts. Cars don't leave the border anymore. They get dismantled and then they get put into 3 spare parts shops and so on. So I'm saying he was not just deflecting for his own business. I'm suggesting to say he was deflecting to make sure that the criminal syndicates on car parts never get to be investigated. So he became the gatekeeper for that. So when you say connect the dots, you might want to add a bit of a layer to that as well, because this man to me, is a criminal more than anything else. He so happened to be in the right position to control everything that's happening around him. He is too much conflicted when I Clement. But here's my last point, because you're going to have to go to the news quickly. The government needs to move with speed, Clement, to dismantle IDEC under Andrea Johnson. Andrea Johnson must leave NPA totally. She is not worthy to be in that organization. This IDEC, when I Clement, is destroying people's reputation and people's lives. So it needs to be put in a stop as soon as possible. You can't wait for September, for instance, when people's lives are at risk today, because this unit here has not been operating in a manner that is consistent with the law.
Got you. Kustas in Midrand, thank you. More of your calls and WhatsApps after the headlines. 9:30, Swisso Zulu has the latest in Eyewitness News. Good morning.
Thanks, Clements. Good morning. 3 suspects accused of killing 13 people at the Jumpers Informal Settlement will return to the Johannesburg Magistrates Court this morning, and this is for a bail application. 14 people were also left injured at the informal settlement on Cleveland when a group of men stormed the area and opened fire. The bail application was postponed last week after the lawyer for the accused told the court he had been unable to properly consult with his clients at the Johannesburg prison where they are being held. Parliament's impeachment committee tasked with probing allegations of impropriety against President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to meet at least 3 times before the third term resumes next month. And this is an effort to get the Section 89 inquiry off the ground. This is notwithstanding this week's legal proceedings brought by Ramaphosa to halt oral evidence until the Western Cape High Court has conducted a judicial review of the parliamentary report that has given rise to the inquiry. And Britain's ruling ruling Labour Party will confirm veteran politician Andy Benham as its new leader today and the country's next prime minister, and this will happen at a special conference. The 56-year-old is set to replace Keir Starmer 4 weeks after he sensationally returned as an MP following a 9-year absence. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
If you're in Centurion, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N14 East. This is due to an accident just before Roy Hayskral Road. Please allow some extra time for travel and drive cautiously as you head into that stretch. If you are in Sandton, you can look out for faulty traffic lights at West Road and Outspin Road as they are slowing down traffic, as well as in North Riding at the N1 South and Malibongwe. If you come across any other traffic, please do send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
With Rand Water's planned maintenance on the 17th of July, customers are reminded that water supply restoration is a gradual process. Once maintenance is completed, reservoirs and towers must refill before sufficient pressure can be restored across the network. Water will return progressively, with recovery times varying based on reservoir levels, location within the network, and water demand. Johannesburg water teams will continue monitoring the system until normal supply is restored. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
And they're off. Horse racing is now live on 10Bet. All the tracks, all the races, and all the thrills, all the way down the home straight. Saddle up and join now at 10bet.co.za.
10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. License number 921096661.
What is your business here?
You didn't start your business to play it safe. You took the leap, made the bold move, and now it's time to make the next one. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving small businesses the chance to win their share of 100,000 rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza. Enter on primemediaplus.com. Tell us about the boldest move you've ever made in your business and what your next one will be. Then get an obligation-free Budget Business Insurance quote. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. By the way, if you're looking for something to do for Mandela Day, make sure you listen before we wrap up this hour, as we'll be finding out more from Food Forward South Africa and their food packing initiative. So you might find something to do for Mandela Day. This is the 702 open line. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. And I'll come back to more of your calls on WhatsApps. I want to bring in Kaiser Khanyago now, who's the spokesperson for the NPA. Mr. Khanyago, thank you for joining. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners.
First of all, I'm just wondering, what is the NDPP thinking watching what's unfolding at the Madlanga Commission? And I'm asking that because, of course, public trust in institutions like IDEC or the NPA is so important. But when you watch senior investigators like that, who can't even explain the processes they've followed and are conceding to the mistakes that have been made in their prosecutions of cases, especially these crime intelligence cases, that concerns South Africans and it affects the trust. How is the NDPP dealing with this?
Yeah, no, the NDPP obviously has been worried about this for a while now, and then that is why he has indicated when he came back from overseas after the whatever happened in Brooklyn, you remember, he then took a decision that he is going to review all those cases that relates to crime intelligence, and then he'll put together an independent panel that is from external people who are independent from the NPA to look into all of those matters, understand them, and then give him advice on what the next step is going to be. And that he has announced last week Friday when we were also announcing the ombudsman or the judge for IP to will also be taking complaints from the public. Therefore, those are the two measures that he has put in place, and then we hope that it will deal with that. Therefore, the individuals will have to deal with them in a different manner on a employer-employee basis.
Okay, so what this means then is that even the warrant of arrests that the IDEC sought are now going to be stayed until this review process is completed. So they can be effected on General Khumalo and the other crime intelligence officers.
Yes, they can be. And as you might know, he mentioned even at the press conference that the warrants are valid until they are cancelled by whoever has signed them, the magistrate that signed them or the equivalent, but they will be stayed until this process is done, because he has got to make sure that he understands what happened and he convinces himself that all the processes were followed properly.
And of course, ultimately, the buck stops with the head of this institution, IDEC, if there are issues here that need to be resolved or concerns. Has the NDPP met with Andrea Johnson?
Yes, he has met with him yesterday, but we meet all the time because Andre Johnson is a part of the EXCO of the NPA by virtue of him being the head of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption. But he has met one-on-one with him yesterday.
Oh, so she's fine now? Because she was sick, and rushed to hospital a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no. She's fine now. She came to the office.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Khanyago, thank you so much for making time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kaiser Khanyago, spokesperson for the NPA. I apologize for that. Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't hold it. This woman was sick to a point that she had to be rushed to hospital. When was it? Is it on Monday? And on Thursday, she's okay to be at work and meet with her boss? It's 20 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Morning, Clement and the team. Tabanya from Cape Town. Happy Friday, everyone. But the main question here is, so when the IDEC and the NDPPS, they take the cases to in front of the judge and the prosecutor. Do one of them not tell them that your case is frivolous and it doesn't require to be in front of a court? It's like an HR matter, if you can put it that way. Because it means that Mkhwanazi was right when you were saying the judges and the prosecutor, all of them are in cahoots with bad people, if I can put it that way. Because if I am in charge of a case and I take it in front of a judge or the prosecutor, they must tell me, this case is sound, this case is not sound. So then I must go back and get more evidence. So yeah.
Morning, Clement. IDEC needs to be disbanded with immediate effect. And actually, they must go investigate themselves for their own activities, because they were just trying to find something on Dumisani Khumalo using Adams, the parliamentarian, to actually expose sensitive intelligence information in order for them to get to their end goal of getting rid of Dumisani Khumalo. So they themselves need to be disbanded and actually investigated. Thank you. This is Ketch from Guruleni.
Good morning, Clement. It's quite unfortunate to see IDAC being used as a ploy. I remember when IDAC was instituted those many years ago under Shamila Batoy, and confidence being eroded in this credible institution. It's shocking. It breaks my heart. And I still believe, though, that there are still many credible men and women who are committed to the justice project within the NPA. I really think it's high time Andre Johnson, in particular, faces a fitness, an inquiry into her fitness. Prince, enjoy
Oh,
that.
maybe she will resign, Prince, because there were reports earlier this week that she is considering stepping down. And now, as you can hear from Kaiser Khanyago, who speaks on behalf of the NPA, the NDPP, ND Motibi, has met one-on-one with Andrea Johnson. I mean, I'm sure that meeting yesterday was not just a normal meeting, given what's transpired so far. So I wonder what's going to be her next step. By the way, to be fair, also on Andrea Johnson, the producers are telling me that her sick note said up to and including the 15th. So when was the 15th? 15th was on Wednesday, ne? So that means her sick note must have been from the Monday to the Wednesday. But remember, the impression that was created at the commission was this person was so sick that she had to be rushed to hospital. Like, you are so sick that you have to be rushed to hospital. Oh, and then after the day when she was scheduled to appear, well, then she's now back at work. She's fine. I wish the commission had asked her to come today or even yesterday, because then the sick note was up to Wednesday, unless, of course, they were scheduling, scheduling administrative issues that they couldn't resolve. But we need to hear from Andrea Johnson. And now that I've heard from Brian Padayachi, it makes sense why she suddenly got so sick that she had to be rushed to hospital on the day she was supposed to appear before the commission, because how was she going to explain how she, as the leadership of the IDEC, said, go ahead, go charge the head of crime intelligence? How? I mean, now from a senior investigator, we're learning of the many mistakes that were made, the many irregularities. She was going to struggle. And maybe it was strategic that I'm going to get sick, and then I'm going to push the senior investigator to go take questions so that by the time I come, most of those issues have been ventilated, but she must still come and deal with tipping off Firoz Khan, because that's a serious allegation that there was a complainant, an assault complaint against Firoz Khan. And when she was a senior investigator or prosecutor, she tipped him off before the police even approached Khan for his own statement. The same way that Padayachi yesterday told the commission that Firoz Khan had sight of the statement of Mukwele, the woman who is now charged with corruption, who worked at BMW. And they were asking Haibo, how could Firoz Khan have sight of this statement when he hasn't provided his own statement? You can't do that. And the fact that they had to explain that to him as a senior investigator just tells you the crisis that we are in. It's 15 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Hi, Clement. I don't laugh, man. Sometimes people, there's a thing called miracles. One day you're sick, need to be rushed to hospital, and then the next day, you can be in the office. Depends on your agenda. It's like on your deathbed, a couple of months left to live. But after those few months, you're playing golf somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's shake it up a little bit, Yeah.
Remember Shabir Sheikh? Yeah. Guys, I just, some of these things are just so wild. I mean, and as I said, I mean, I didn't mean to really even giggle there, but I just couldn't hold it. It's like when I interviewed Kimang, the spokesperson of the ANC, Mahlengi Bengu. Remember when I interviewed Mahlengi Bengu? And Mahlengi Bengu was telling me that so many South Africans are happy with the city of Joburg and service delivery. Come on, I'm sure you're giggling yourself listening to that. She said that live on the radio. She said many people, residents of Johannesburg, are very happy with service delivery. These are wild things happening in this country, I tell you. Let's go to some more WhatsApps about Kenneth Mashaba's passing, or Nkosheng, as some of you are remembering him for as one of the roles that he's played before.
Morning, Clement. No, I remember Kenneth Mashaba on Generation when he used to call Dineo Little Dini. Little Dini, that guy, That guy can act, man. No, may his soul rest in peace. Busa at Sky City. Shap Shap Clement.
Morning. Ke Papa Molinesia. Clement.
Plant his own person. Look, this is just what I'm trying to connect the dots. How could it be that this man owns a car parts company and already provide parts and mechanical stuff to the SAPS or crime intelligence, and he clearly was so desperate to be on the panel to appoint someone who was somehow going to be used by IDEC in COVID operations around mechanical issues and vehicles? My suggestion is that he wanted his own person there. He wanted his own person there so that he's able to benefit more from crime intelligence. I think. Could be wrong. How do you see it? We've got to learn to connect these dots. Now, listen to Jeremy Very. Jeremy Very is the former Western Cape head of detectives. Remember, when this story was breaking about this crime intelligence head and being arrested, they appointed someone without qualifications. We decided to do something on the show where we brought in Jeremy Very to explain how police rankings work in the SAPS. And this is how he explained it.
You see, the police, if we have scarce skills, like say now, we don't have programmers or we don't have people in the finance department that can assist us, then we can laterally recruit such skills. And because they needed to pay, and this is where the problem lies, because they need to be paid equivalent of a salary, that salary proportionate to their skills, that salary, they look in the police for an appropriate notch to look at it. Now, in a rank, there are often 3 notches or something. Then they realize, wait a minute, the only place where this person can fit in
is this rank.
Because our structure speaks to ranks is a general or a brigadier, and in the upper level of the notch.
Okay.
In order to accommodate that skill.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, got it. That makes a lot of sense. Do you see? So you can come as Clement, who was a broadcaster, and they want to bring you in crime intelligence to work in, I don't know, covert operations and something that's got to do maybe with, I don't know, broadcasting or communication. And when I get there, they could give me a brigadier, depending on what my salary scale was when I left 702. They have to look at my salary scale and then they rank me according to that. So you can't be a colonel when you're earning a salary of a brigadier. And that's the point that he was trying to make. This didn't matter to IDEC and its investigators. 9 minutes before 10.
What is special about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it returns to where Walk the Talk all started, where we'll be walking in the inner city, celebrating the resurgence of the city of Johannesburg and celebrating the people who make it special. You part of this momentous 702 Walk the Talk. I haven't been to Ellis Park in many, many years, so while I might not see you on the route, I'll definitely be at the beginning to see you off as you begin your journey through the inner city. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com and we'll see you there on the 26th of July.
The Industrial Development Corporation remains committed to transforming Africa's industrial future. So if your business is in manufacturing, operating in automotive and transport equipment, chemicals, minerals and industrial mineral products, machinery, equipment, electronics or textiles and wood products, there could be funding opportunities available. So go visit idc.co.za to check your eligibility for funding.
We're giving you millions of reasons to celebrate with our selection of Lucky Millions Lotto draws. You could claim major jackpots when you pick numbers from thousands of daily draws. Choose numbers on UK 49s, Euro Millions and lots more from just R5 per line. Enjoy more chances and more ways to win all in one place. Grab your chance to celebrate extraordinary riches when you play Lucky Millions from Hollywood Bets. Bet now.
T's and C's apply.
Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
7 minutes before 10 o'clock. So, if you're looking for something to do this Mandela Day, listen to this. Food Forward South Africa is inviting you to join their food packing initiative. So, this will be 67 minutes packing food that will be distributed to underserved communities across South Africa. So, the Food Forward SA Mandela Day packing event is happening today, the 17th of July at the Gallagher Convention Center. So not only will it provide essential food items to address food insecurity, but also they'll foster unity and collective action towards a shared goal that is achieving food security for all. Bukosi Kontsiwe is the national fundraising official at Food Forward South Africa. Bukosi, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you, Clement. Good morning to you too, and good morning to the listeners.
And tell us more about, FFSA. What is the mandate and your vision?
So our vision is a South Africa that is without food insecurity. What we do is we recover surplus edible food and we redistribute that food to communities that need the food. So your communities that have soup kitchens, your ECDs, your shelters in underserved communities.
Oh, I see. And what does today's event then mean, and why is it important?
So today is about giving back. We allowing the public to give their 67 minutes and give back to communities that need the food. So we are packing 400 tons of food across Cape Town, Durban, and Johannesburg, and that food will be distributed to those communities that we support.
Oh, so there will be an impact on a lot of beneficiaries. So are you only focusing on these underserved communities? Is it communities across South Africa? Are you looking at specific areas?
So our footprint is across the whole country, all 9 provinces, and we distribute to rural areas. We distribute to your townships, and we distribute to even organizations in big cities, because food insecurity is not just in rural areas, or it's not just a disaster. And what today is about is just making sure those people are served.
How do our listeners now get involved? How can we get involved?
So, Clement, at Gallagher, we're at Gallagher Convention Center. It is a packed out, and we've sold out all our tickets. But people can come in, and we'll see if we can accommodate a few people. But it's a sold out event.
Wonderful. Great work that you're doing there at Food Forward South Africa. Thank you, Bukosi Kontsiwe, for joining us, national fundraiser at Food Forward South Africa.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Morning, Clement. Happy Friday. I'm grateful for my car. I'm picking up my brand new car today, and it's the first time I've had a car in over 10 years, so I'm really, really excited. Thanks for the great show. Bye.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And we celebrate with you. More of your WhatsApps on IDEC on 072 702 and 702.
Yo, Clement. Ngaske ndithelekele kwi-heart attack nam or a faint out of nowhere, because the allegations against this woman are insane. But like the saying goes, she can come with all types of maneuvering, fortunately. She may run, but she cannot hide. This is Aya in Edenvale.
Can someone call Madlanga and tell him that she's now fine? Please. Huh? Madlanga Commission, she's okay now. I think you can make that call. We need to make space for her to come before the commission. And we need her before the commission because the brilliant evidence leaders there are going to expose it all. And it's important to expose it all because we cannot live in a society that is fraught by so much corruption, only for us to have institutions that have got people that are compromised. We can't. And she has to come and prove, is she or is she not compromised? And I think the best place for us to see that is at the Commission of Inquiry with those brilliant evidence leaders who are going to put some tough questions to her. 2 minutes before 10.
Big advances in health are happening right here in South Africa. Local researchers are studying a new TB vaccine called M72 that could help stop people from getting seriously ill. And programs like Kochimpilo are helping men living with HIV overcome stigma, start treatment and stay on it through peer support and private chat guidance. It's South Africans helping shape the future of global health, supported by the Gates Foundation for 25 years. Partners of human potential.
Johannesburg is calling. Join thousands of Joburgers on Sunday, 26 July for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk in proud partnership with Standard Bank. Experience the energy and spirit of the City of Gold as you walk through the historic streets of Joburg CBD, celebrating a city on the rise. As an iconic brand deeply connected to Johannesburg, Standard Bank invites you to be part of a movement that's bringing communities together and showcasing the best of Josie. Starting and finishing at Ellis Park, this is more than a walk. It's a celebration of our city and its growth journey. The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people, for the people on Sunday, the 26th of July. Babize bonke. This year, the Sunday Times is partnering with Walk the Talk. All of you who enter Walk the Talk will receive a 3-month digital subscription to the Sunday Times as part of the partnership. And look out for all the coverage of Walk the Talk in the Sunday Times and on Times Live. So whether you are taking on the 8-kilometer, 5-kilometer or 15-kilometer walks, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The NPA says head of the anti-corruption watchdog IDEC, Andrea Johnson, has returned to work. Johnson was scheduled to testify at the Madlanga Commission on Monday, but made an about turn saying she was ill and had to be rushed to hospital. She has been linked to a questionable relationship with tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. Spokesperson of the NPA, Kaiser Khanyago, has confirmed on the Clement Manyathela Show a short while ago that Johnson met with the NPA boss Andy Mutibi just yesterday.
Because Andre Johnson is a part of the EXCO of the NPA by virtue of him being the head of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption. But he has met one-on-one with him yesterday.
Oh, so she's fine now? Because she was sick, almost and rushed to hospital a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no. She's fine now.
Meanwhile, at the Madlanga Commission today, the inquiry has returned its focus to the theft of 200 million rand worth of cocaine from the Hawks offices. KwaZulu-Natal-based officer Mbongeleni Mpangase has taken the witness stand today. In June 2021, Mpangase was part of a drug bust in Ispingo, where police confiscated more than 541 kilograms of cocaine from a port container. The confiscated drugs were later stolen a few months later at a Hawks storage facility in Port Shepstone in the south of KZN. The bust and subsequent theft has been mired in controversy, with allegations of senior police officials working with drug cartels. 3 suspects accused of killing 13 people at the Jumpers Informal Settlements have returned to the Johannesburg Magistrates Court this morning for a bail application. 14 people were also left injured at the informal settlements in Cleveland when the group stormed the area and opened fire. The bail application was postponed last week after the lawyer for the accused told the court he had been unable to consult with his clients at the Johannesburg prison where they were being held. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
Molebedi Mosia, Ramon Netsibela and Zipho Meting faced 13 counts of murder and 14 counts of attempted murder following the mass shooting at the Jumpers Informal Settlement last month. According to the NPA, surviving victims gave statements while in hospital and after their discharge accompanied police to the Maimai Informal Settlement in the Johannesburg CBD, where they allegedly identified the three accused. The state has indicated that because of the alleged offences committed by the three, bail will be opposed. Their lawyer, Advocate Pomozo Sadiki, maintains police have arrested the wrong man, claiming his clients were implicated only because they are Lesotho nationals and due to infighting within the group at the settlement. Dimakatsa Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
Parliament's impeachment committee tasked with probing allegations of impropriety against President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to meet at least 3 times before the third term resumes next month in efforts to get the Section 89 inquiry off the ground. This is notwithstanding this week's legal proceedings brought by Ramaphosa to halt oral evidence until the Western Cape High Court has conducted a judicial review of the parliamentary report that has given rise to the inquiry. Committee Chairperson Magwenya Gana says Parliament's recess periods will not stall the work that's needed to conduct the inquiry. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
With political parties having made their inputs to the terms of reference for the Section 89 inquiry, these are now being consolidated by the committee support staff in preparation for its next meeting. Speaking after court proceedings in the President's interdict application yesterday, Chairperson Magwenya Gana said the work would continue despite Parliament's constituency breaks and until a court ruling instructs it otherwise. He says it's a misnomer to suggest the inquiry is yet to start.
Concluding the terms of reference, appointing the evidence leaders, finalizing the witnesses is the work of the committee. People must not say the work has not begun. The work has begun.
For this reason, legal counsel for the African Transformation Movement, Advocate Anton Katz, yesterday argued that the President's interdict application was misplaced.
So the court cannot grant an order in respect of something that has already happened and to try to stop that. You cannot do that. At the court, no. Once the horse has left the stable, you can't stop the horse from leaving the stable.
A ruling is expected to be made within a week's time. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And Britain's ruling Labour Party will confirm veteran politician Andy Burnham as its new leader and the country's next Prime Minister at a special conference today. The 56-year-old is set to replace Keir Starmer 4 weeks after he sensationally returned as an MP following a 9-year absence. Burnham will become the UK's 7th Prime Minister in a decade as British lawmakers appear increasingly willing to turn against their own leaders when their party runs into political hot water. Burnham faced no challengers for the Labour leadership. Gold is trading at $3,999.45 an ounce. The rand is at 16.46 to the dollar, 22.17 to the pound, 18.84 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $83.90 a barrel.
In the traffic in Waterkloof, there's been an accident on the N1 North, slowing down traffic from Botha Avenue. And in Amalgam, traffic remains slightly congested on Main Reef Road. This is as you get closer to the Crown interchange.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 24. The top story in EWN this hour. The NPA says head of the anti-corruption watchdog IDEC, Andrea Johnson, has returned to work.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you so much for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for your contributions on the 702 open line. I see your tweets coming through and your messages. I suppose all of us are shocked of what Kaiser Kganyago just told me a couple of minutes ago, because he confirmed that Andrea Johnson, the head of IDEC, met with the head of the NDPP, the head of the NPA, and Motibi, just yesterday. And when I asked, wait, isn't she sick? She couldn't appear at the Madlanga Commission on Monday because she wasn't so well that she had to be rushed to hospital. And what, 2 days later, then she's back and she's fine? Kaiser Kganyago says, no, she's fine now. She came to work. I say, call Madlanga and tell him that Andrea Johnson is okay now. And they must call her to come to the commission ASAP, please. It's time now for our Across the Desk feature.
Across the Desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
So on our Across the Desk feature this morning, I'm hosting Nelson Mandela and Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela's granddaughter. I was supposed to host the granddaughters, but one of them was not well and couldn't join us this morning. But we've got Zamaswazi Swati Mandela Dlamini, who's the granddaughter of Nelson and Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Also, they are co-producers of this incredible, gripping documentary on Netflix, The Trials of Winnie Mandela. We've discussed it before on the show. Have you watched it? What's piqued your interest? If you've got questions for Zamaswazi as well, who was one of the producers, you can join this conversation on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Zamaswazi, thank you so much for coming through to the show. Good morning.
Thank you for having me, Clement.
It's great to have you. First of all, how has the reaction been? Because I watched that documentary 3 times, and I'm not lying to you. I binged watched it one time on a Saturday, and I went back to it the following week, and I watched it again with a friend the following week, because I just loved how raw it was. And when you've got the grandchildren of Mama Winnie producing it, the first thought you have is, ooh, they're going to be too restrictive about what they show.
Yeah.
So they're going to show maybe the good side of the grandmother, and you guys were just so open, and I have to give you credit for that. The fact that you were so open to just tell the story as it is, through the guise of grandchildren who sits across the table with their grandmother. How has the reaction been?
Well, I mean, surprisingly, we have been so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I don't think we expected the reaction to be what it is.
Really?
We kind of tried not to really anticipate too much because I think historically our grandmother has always sort of like, given a certain particular like sort of narrative and feedback, especially in the media and to people. So genuinely, we were quite surprised at the way it's been received, and really just grateful, just grateful that finally we get to tell her story and that people get to consume it and see it. And for me, when I was doing this project, I always told myself, and I told the producers and the team, I was like, if I could literally change one person's mind and one person can see her in a different light or just get to understand her better, then I feel like I've done my job.
Yeah.
And I think I've done that, more than what I anticipated, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So I'm grateful that South Africans have consumed it and they're watching it, and I think that they're just kind of being like open to everything that we've presented. Because we, like you said, we wanted to go everywhere. There was nothing that we wanted to shy away from. We thought that it was important to be able to just lay as much of the narrative out there as possible, and also give others the opportunity to give their side of the story as well during those times.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've watched so many documentaries of Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and I've read a number of books about Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. And so when the documentary came, the first thought was, ooh, I wonder if it's going to be anything new. Right. But yeah, I was really blown away, and we spoke about it on the show after watching it with the listeners. When did you decide, and let me ask it this way, how long did it take you guys to because it's a lot of material, unseen footage where you guys sat across her over a table. I mean, when you've got stuff like that, you want to put it out there.
Right.
But it looks like you guys really took your time with the documentary.
again, I mean, I'm so grateful that we were able to take our time because I think we were able to do it justice. I mean, I think as a filmmaker or producer or creative person, like, your work is never done. You kind of have to just decide, like, this is it. We have to sort of draw the line here and put the work out, you know? So for me, it started when my niece, we were unveiling my niece's tombstone, which is now some 13 years later. And my grandmother came to me and she said, "Sweetie, I've got this journal that's been returned to me by the widow of the lawyer who was representing me at the time when I was in solitary confinement." And she said, "I'm giving it to you, and I'm entrusting you to decide to do what you think is fit."
Yeah.
I don't know why she chose me, but she did. And I immediately decided, let me take it to the Nelson Mandela Foundation because it is a piece of history, and I wanted to make sure that it was safeguarded. They housed it for us, and then a couple of months later, they reached back out to me to say, "Do you mind if we start transcribing this journal?" I said, "Absolutely." So they started to transcribe it. And then as we go on the journey, once in a while, Sam Finter was the person who was transcribing it. She'd send me like little snippets of it because I didn't even open it. I literally just dropped it at the foundation. I said, you know, because for me, it was also just like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to go there, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so then she starts to send me little bits and pieces. And then her and I decide, let's get it published. So we turned it into a book, 491 Days. And then thereafter, we were approached. My grandmother was approached by Ivo Ijakovitz to say, "I love this piece of work. I think it's such an important part of history." And I think it was also just like her finally in her own words as well, which was also just a bit different as well from what's previously been out there. And so he said, "I'd love to support this." And then what started as like what was supposed to be sort of like half an hour little like sizzle that we were supposed to produce to support the book turned into 30 minutes, which turned into 60, which then turned into 90. And then we found ourselves at 3 parts. And as we kept going, we just felt like we had to tell as much of her story as we could.
Yeah.
And honestly, just give her an opportunity to just like say it in her own words. And every single time we were like sort of going down the journey, we would uncover something new and then something new. And then there were some pauses in production as well, because there were some very difficult parts for me. So we had to pause to sort of figure out how do we sort of grapple with that? How do we deal with it? What support do I need? Because it was very difficult. Extreme. I mean, I was doing it on my own for the most part. And then my sister had to join because it was so hard for me to sort of grapple with some parts of the story. Yeah.
How difficult was it though because you said, you know, at some point you thought, I'm not ready to go there.
Yeah.
And when you started going there, was it uncomfortable for you? Was it, I mean, asking your grandmother about some of these issues that were so contentious and have saddened her for so long because of how they've been told, that must have required some level of bravery from you guys. And you know, Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela is a strong character.
Yes.
Like it must have been really something for you guys to sit there and go there and ask those uncomfortable questions.
Clement, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I don't know if there'll be anything more difficult than that, because as much as I come from this family, there's certain things that we just never talked about. You know, there were so many things that were sort of unsaid. I've never been able to ask my mom, like, post this process. Only then was I being able to say, "Ma, what was it like for you? You know, like, what was your experience? Like, what did you go through? What did you and Anzinzi go through? What was that for you?" So to start this journey, I had to really, like, hold myself with the utmost, like, just, you know, gentleness and kindness, because I knew that when I started to uncover and really grapple with the material, it was going to be very hard for me. And I mean, I remember, like, literally sitting on my bed just sobbing, you know, just sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing at what I was reading and what I was discovering about my grandmother, because I also hadn't really gone into the actual detail of what her experience was. I knew it was horrible. And there are parts of it that we lived, right? So we spent a lot of time with my grandmother. We grew up with her. We were there. I was born in Bramford, where she was banished. That's where I was born. So there were a lot of her history that we just experienced. We never really had to talk about it, if you know what I'm saying. So now this is the first account for me that I'm reading in her own words, and I'm reading about her torture. I'm reading about her torment. I'm reading about her pain. I'm reading about her struggle. I'm reading about solitary confinement, what that means for her. I'm reading about her and my grandfather trying to communicate with each other at that time. He doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know where her children are. What does that feel like for her? How does that torment her? So I'm reading all of this for the first time. So it's also me going on my own personal journey with regards to my own story and my family story and my parents' story and my grandmother's story. So like I said, I mean, it was incredibly, I think, cathartic as well and healing for me, because I didn't realize that there were parts of me that also experienced some of the pain as well.
Yeah, because we were so young.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were children. We were babies. We were babies, and my grandmother was carrying us on her shoulder. You know what I'm saying? While she was doing everything that she was doing, and we experienced a lot of it.
Sure, yeah, and thank you so much for telling this story, because I mean, I remember sobbing myself watching, because I mean, I've always appreciated her and her contributions to the struggle. But watching that documentary, that made me appreciate her more. Like, just understanding from her own words the struggles that she went to.
Yeah.
And what they turned her into. Because at some point, when a system is so intentional about going after you, at some point it really makes you something else.
Right.
And I think she was a brave person to take it on. And I just sobbed wondering, I wonder if we paid her dues and we appreciated her enough. What do you think about that? Because that's one thing I reflected on, and I said, when you've got someone who literally was holding the struggle when the leaders of the ANC were not even here, did we appreciate her enough? And that's a question I'm still asking myself.
I mean, it's very emotional for me. I think I speak for my sister and my mom and all of us, because it was unfair the way she was treated after everything she went through. And after everything, I think she sacrificed. And she chose it, right? So in all fairness, she did choose it. But still, I think it was unfair to see her sidelined and not appreciated for her contribution and not given her flowers when she was here. You know, it'll forever be painful, I think, because it wasn't something that I think was, I don't know, I think, you know, I think it would have been important for her to have known, and I think she knew, but not to the extent, let's say, if I compare it to my grandfather, for instance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I will sometimes sit with people, and they will literally, you know, obviously give my grandfather his flowers, and they will turn to my grandmother, and it'll be a completely different
thing.
You know, reaction. And at the end of the day, I'm like, these are both my grandparents. I love them both. But for me, I saw my grandmother go through this. I saw it with firsthand, you know, and I saw how painful it was for her thereafter when we got our freedom and the way she was treated and sidelined. And I think largely my grandfather, the way he also just treated her the way that he did, you know, that was also painful for us to watch. And I think reliving it, because we were also young then, so there's a lot of it that we were shielded from. We didn't understand, we didn't know. So like going down this journey, I was like, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Wow, is that how she was treated at the inauguration? You know what I mean? Like, for instance, that image for me is so...
That saddened me so much.
It made me... I mean, when I saw it for the first time, I didn't even relive it like that. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I remember us being on stage. In my mind, we were all there. She was there. But I see her in the crowd with Anzinzi. And I'm just like, at this moment in our history, you know, she is not given the opportunity to share in that. And I think that was unfair and that was painful.
Oh, but what a brave queen. You know, there's a post I put on my Instagram where she was like, who do they think they are? They think they can appoint me? Right. I loved it. That was one of my favorite clips. And I just like, what a brave queen. Because even in the midst of that unfair treatment, even in the midst of being sidelined, even in the midst of the impatient people had in her and didn't want to treat her as a normal human being like all of us are.
Right.
And we all have faults, including your grandfather, Nelson Mandela. We all have faults. But for some reason, the way she was treated was so sidelined in a way that she's this old problematic woman. But I loved seeing her still so passionate and brave and taking up her space.
Yeah.
But she didn't have to fight. For that space.
Absolutely.
It's 22 minutes after 10 o'clock. After the break, we'll continue this conversation with Zamaswazi Swati Mandela Dlamini, the granddaughter of Nelson and Winnie Madikizela Mandela, also the co-producer of The Trials of Winnie Mandela on Netflix. Have you watched it? Let me know what piqued your interest. And if you've got questions for Swati, give us a call. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
I was incensed when I heard that 43 young boys had died in this year's winter initiation. This should be something that shuts the country down. We have 23 kids who died last year. All of them prepubescent children. They died because they were eating discopas. No one is talking about them because they are a constituency that doesn't really matter, you see. And everything we do is not about some real principles. It's about how expedient it is politically.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Your employees show up every day to support your business. Who supports them when they are facing trauma, stress, financial pressure, legal concerns, and health issues? Kaelo Lifestyle provides employees and their families access to a network of qualified professionals, including counselors, coaches, trauma specialists, legal advisors, financial wellness experts, and fitness and nutrition professionals. If you're looking to support your people and strengthen your workplace, visit kaelo.co.za. That's kaelo.co.za.
Make sure that your life-changing donation goes exactly where it's meant to. With Izinga Assist, you can give with complete confidence because every donation is secure, transparent, and traceable. Funds are safely managed through a dedicated ShopRite Money Market account, and you'll receive clear proof showing the impact of your contribution. Give with trust today at izassist.org. Izinga Assist, doing good, done better. Proudly supported by Primedia Cares.
Yo, nothing humbles you like a cold shower.
Happens fast, eh? 1 minute you're living your best life.
Next minute you're questioning everything.
Fair. Here's a quick tip. If your geezer's acting up, don't wait for disaster. Small fixes now save big problems later.
And remember, if you buy cheap, you will shower in the lounge.
We've got loads more tips where that came from.
Quickot, #1 in water heating solutions. Quickot,
add warmth to life.
What is your business here? You didn't start your business to play it safe. You took the leap, made the bold move, and now it's time to make the next one. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving small businesses the chance to win their share of 100,000 Rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza. Enter on PrimeMediaPlus.com. Tell us about the boldest move you've ever made in your business and what your next one will be. Then get an obligation-free Budget Business Insurance quote. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Across the desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 25 minutes after 10 o'clock, and we're in conversation with Zamaswazi Swati Mandela Dlamini, who is one of the granddaughters of Nelson Mandela and Winnie Madikizela Mandela, someone who also played a key role in co-producing The Trials of Winnie Mandela, that gripping Netflix documentary. And I'll come to some of your messages that are coming through if you've, for those that have watched it, or maybe you haven't watched it, but you've followed the life of Mama Winnie and you've got some thoughts. You want to ask Swati some questions, 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. So you were saying earlier on, Swati, that you know, there are certain conversations you never had. And, you know, for us looking from outside, the assumption we make is you guys must have, I'm sure, conversations. And maybe you ask your grandfather, hey, how was it here and there? Or you ask your grandmother, how did you manage this and that? Or did you see this book about you? And you were saying that most of the time, I mean, it seems like you were just being a normal family and not going there. Do you think that, because when I watched the documentary, it felt like she was at peace towards the end of her life, being surrounded by her family, her grandkids. At least that's what it appeared like to me, and the grandchildren. Having spent so much time with her even in the last days, do you think she was at peace?
Absolutely, Clement. I mean, I think it comes across so vividly in the documentary as well. I think also even the fact that she was able to tell the story in the way that she did, and it was my sister and I going on the journey with her. I'm not sure if she would have done it had it been anyone else. You know what I mean? But I think she felt that it was important for her to tell us, right? And I think it was like her last, like, this is me. This was my life. These are the choices that I made. But absolutely, I mean, we asked her, you know, if there was anything, I used to ask her if there was anything you could do differently. And she said, darling,
No, I
maybe the
remember
only thing I
that.
could do differently
Yeah.
is have been there for my kids. So I think that aspect of it was something that both of them, both my grandparents, wish they could have done differently. But it comes at a cost, right? The life that they chose came at a cost, and family is usually the biggest sacrifice. So I think for her, that was the only thing that she would have changed, but everything else she was at peace with, and she made peace with it. And I think that's what makes it so incredible, because she's totally unapologetic about most of her life and the path that she chose. And I think she had such a deep sense of just resolve and conviction. And hers was just like a life of servitude. That's all she knew to do. She didn't even know how to do anything else. You know, she genuinely lived her life wanting us to be better and our people to be treated better. That's literally what she lived and breathed every single day. She never left Soweto. We would beg her, come, stay with me. My grandmother was like, I'm not leaving my people. She was like, I'm the only one that's here. Everyone else has left. If I leave, they will have no one. She's like, I'm not leaving. So sacrifice was something that she just understood and she knew. So when I think towards the end, I think us as her grandchildren and great grandchildren were really just the biggest gift that she had. And I'm grateful that she had made peace with everything and she was okay with the way her life was, because I think I would have been more sad if I'd seen her with so much regret. Do you know what I mean? Like I think, and it just makes me just see her even so much more differently, because she just was like, sweetie, there's absolutely nothing I could change. I think the outcome of the things and the way things happen in our country was something that she wished she could have definitely, done differently, for sure. But when it comes to her own personal choices, she had made peace with that.
Yeah. After the headlines, I want to get a sense from you as to, once you asked her about some of the uncomfortable things like the Mandela United Football Club and the Stompy issue, and you heard her explain, what then became your own resolve afterwards? All of that coming up after the headlines. It's 10:30. Sfiso Zulu has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clements. Good morning. The NPA says head of the anti-corruption watchdog IDEC, Andrea Johnson, has returned to work. Johnson was scheduled to testify at the Madlanga Commission on Monday, but made an about turn, saying she was ill and had to be rushed to hospital just a few hours before her appearance. She has been linked to a questionable relationship with tainted crime intelligence top cop Firoz Khan. Meanwhile, at the Madlanga Commission, the inquiry has returned its focus to the theft of 200 million rand worth of cocaine from the Hawks offices. KwaZulu-Natal-based officer Mbongeleni Mpangase has taken the witness stand today. In June 2021, Mpangase was part of a drug bust in Ispingo, where police confiscated more than 541 kilograms of cocaine from a port container. And 3 suspects accused of killing 13 people in Cleveland on the East Rand have abandoned their bail application in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court. The trio faces 13 counts of murder and 14 for attempted murder following last month's shooting. The group stormed the jumpers' informal settlements and opened fire in the area. The bail application was postponed last week after their lawyer told the court he had been unable to properly consult with his clients at the Johannesburg prison where they were being held. But today, they've decided to abandon their bail application for now. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In the traffic in Waterkloof, there's still that accident on the N1 North, and it is slowing down traffic from Buota Avenue to the Flying Saucer interchange. While in Amalgam, traffic remains slightly congested on Main Reef Road. This is as you get closer to the Crown interchange. Also look out for faulty traffic lights in Midrand at Old Pretoria and Olifantsfontein. In North Riding at the N1 South in Malibongwe, and in the capital city, look out for faulty traffic lights in Brakfontein at Old Johannesburg and Brakfontein. I'll have more updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
As a business owner, you are always looking for ways to save money, right? But have you looked at saving on your business insurance premium? With OUTsurance Business Insurance, you could save big, like Bosman's High School, who saves 3,705 Rand a month. How much could you save? Make the smart business move. Switch and save with OUTsurance Business Insurance for educational institutes, law firms, real estate agencies, computer services, and all other businesses. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed, insured, and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Don't miss the last week of the Checkers XXL Savings Championship. Get Clover cheese 800 grams, any two for 239 Rand. Gourmet sticky toffee pudding, 450 grams for 49 Rand. And Twin Saver 2-ply or 3-ply toilet rolls, 9 per pack. Buy any two and get a third free. Save 76 Rand. Valid until 19 July. Only at Checkers.
Hey, we buy cars. How does it work if I want to sell my car?
We'll drive to your place. You can visit our pods. Even if you don't have space, then at the mall in a parking lot, we've got lots of depots all across the land. Contact We Buy Cars. You're in safe hands. Safe hands.
Wow, that's great.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Kaelo Lifestyle, a mental wellness and support program for employees and their families, is calling on you to take a step towards better mental health. As the mental wellness partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, Kaelo is bringing even more purpose to the walk. From checking in with yourself to celebrating connection, every step is designed to support your well-being. So rally your team and walk for mental wellness. Visit primemediaplus.com for more information. Kaelo Lifestyle, changing lives and improving business. On 702, let's walk the talk.
Across the Desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 25 minutes before 11 o'clock, and this morning on our Across the Desk feature, I am hosting Zamaswazi Swati Mandela Dlamini, granddaughter of Nelson Mandela and Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. She also co-produced The Trials of Winnie Mandela, that incredible documentary on Netflix. I see your calls that are coming through. I'm going to come to them in a moment. But Swati, I asked you before the headlines what your resolve was, because I actually have a vivid memory of you guys sitting, I think you were having breakfast or lunch, you and your sister, and Mama Winnie was sitting on the other side.
Yeah.
And I could see you guys want to ask a question, but you didn't know how to begin it until you asked.
Right.
And that was about the Mandela United Football Club and the Stompie issue, because it's such a contentious issue.
Yes.
When you heard her response and her explanations, and you've heard other people, and that's what's so fair about the documentaries, you even went and interviewed people who disagreed with her.
Yes.
People even hated her.
Yes.
You know, after everything you've heard, what's your resolve? What do you think?
I think my resolve is that was a time of, they were in a time of war. And I think my grandmother was really trying to, she carried the back of Soweto on her own shoulders for the most part, not to discount anybody else's contribution. I would never want to do that by any means. But I think that she, I grew up with the Mandela United Football Club. So they grew up in our homes, and I was around them all the time. We were in Soweto 8115 with them. Literally, they would take us to school sometimes, etc. They became a part of our family. So for me, I remember them in that way. I remember them fondly. I remember them as like literally family. And
so it must have shocked you then when the news came out that in accusations that she was responsible. For instance,
I think the horror of what was going on was completely shocking, because it was like, wait, is this happening around us? Did it potentially, all those things that you think to yourself? But obviously, when we're a bit older, when we're younger, our parents really shielded us from it for the most part. But obviously, when you get a bit older, then you kind of can reflect on what happened. For me, Clement, more than anything in this entire journey was for Big Mommy to have her say. I was not there to judge her. I was not there to have a particular outcome about anything. It was genuinely for me to be able to just tell her story and for her to tell it in her own words. I always knew from the beginning, I was like, there's nothing this journey can take me on that would make me change my mind about my grandmother. Nothing. Whatever I found out, the good, the bad, the ugly, it didn't matter to me. All I knew is that I had to do her story justice. That's all I knew. And I felt it important that everybody have a say about that period and that time. I really felt that was important. So for me, I held dearly those stories, the Stompie story, his mom, his family, all the other people who lost lives as well. To me, that was very dear, and it was important that their story be told, and they have a say, and we get to hear their side of the story about what happened and what their version of the truth is, because that to me is valid and it's important. Everybody's version of the truth matters to me, and I think it's important that everybody gets the opportunity to tell it. So either way, whatever happened at that time, and I said to you, two truths can exist about a person, about a time, about people, but I think we have to also just take what is good, and I think we have to celebrate what is good, and we have to celebrate their contribution and what they did for us in a time where there were so many things that were happening, you know, and I understood that by the end of it. I was like, this was a war zone for the most part, and she was living in the midst of that war zone, and she was surrounded by people that she thought she couldn't trust. Betrayal was a big part of something that I didn't even know was happening to the extent that it was. Informants being placed and all of that, and her having to understand, is Clement an informant? So she never knew, you know, and she would discover that people that she trusted were informants, etc. And also, I think the extent to which the apartheid regime was surveilling her and surveilling us as a family, and the extent to which they went to really just kind of like, you know, break her in any sense of the word. So I for me, more than anything, I think we were able to just present that, and she was able to tell her version of her side of her story, and everybody got that opportunity, and that to me was the most important thing.
And you gave people an opportunity to make up their minds.
1,000%.
Watch both stories. You make up your own mind.
Absolutely.
You didn't impose it on us as the viewers. Lebu, you are calling us now from Dube. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Ditloholo. Mama.
Sure.
Not Clement. I've got a fond memory of Mama Winnie. She actually saved my dad and my father, my brother. In 1990, arms were found belonging to the MK at my home, and at the time, my brother had to flee because of that. He was in hiding, and the people from that party promised that they were going to assist us, but they never did. And then 3 years down the line, I think for 2023 or 2024, around there, the police came back for my brother. They got arrested again, and at the time, Mama was in the Women's League. And one of their drivers was my brother's friend, who was also involved in these arms that were found at my home. So he spoke to Mama, because now my family was moved from pillar to post by the party, like they were distancing themselves from those arms. And then when my brother's friend told Mama about the case, she said, "No, I remember that case. I'll handle it." She's the one who helped us to get an amnesty for my brother, and that was when the Boers backed off, and we managed to live a better life. But yeah, it was sad, and I feel that the party has betrayed Mama so badly. You know, the role that she played. I mean, we lived around the area, much as I wasn't doing it, but not far from Mama's house, and we know that the difficulties that she went through.
Yeah, Lebo, thank you so much for calling us in Dube. Jean, you are in Pretoria. Hi.
Hi. I used to be a flight attendant with South African Airways, and we got to serve quite a few well-known passengers, and I had the pleasure of having Mama Winnie on my flights more than once. But on the first flight that we met, she was diabetic, and so we had a special meal on board for her, and I briefed her that we had extra food or fruit should she require it, as we would do to take care of the passengers. And I mentioned to her, I understand how important the right eating is. My husband was diabetic. Well, the roles changed immediately. She was very concerned about my husband, asked me how is he taking care of himself, and by the end of the flight, she actually gave me the business card of a doctor that she was seeing that was helping her with her diabetes. And then when I had her on a flight a couple of months or weeks later, she remembered me and she said, "How's your husband's diabetes doing?" And I noticed she was just so caring. And, we always said when we flew that flying and being on an aeroplane was a great equalizer, and it really showed you a lot about the real person.
Yeah.
You could really see the person's true characteristics because everybody was in the same situation. And on another flight, she actually asked me about, she said to me, "Kim, what is the thing with the caviar?" So I said, "It's a very specific taste." And she said, "So show me what is supposed to happen here. How are you supposed to eat it?"
Yeah.
And we chatted about it, and we shared an opinion about it and laughed about it. And she was just such a pleasure to have on board.
Yeah.
You always felt at ease with her. You knew she was never going to give you a hard time and demand awful things from you. She was always such a pleasure to be with.
Yeah.
Wow,
Jean,
thank you.
beautiful
So
memory.
beautiful.
Thank you for that. John, you are in 4 ways. Hi.
Hi, Clement.
Hey, Tada.
I must say, and your guest, I must say, I actually cried, watching that thing, and I watched it to the end because it took me back to my youth, and I understand the extent to which Winnie and her husband Nelson sacrificed for our country and its people. And I cried because, I think we were too harsh. And I just didn't understand why people like that general who were killing people in the township and so forth today are the ones who can talk about Winnie in the manner in which they were. Winnie sacrificed, and her husband was banned, was in prison for many years. She was banned. She lived alone. She was not even allowed to speak to neighbors. And fine, she made mistakes. And if we can forgive the people, the architect of apartheid, who killed so many of our people and are responsible to the legacy of suffering and poverty in our country, why can't we, really forgive somebody who has made so much? Winnie really cared about people, unlike the current day ANC leadership, who only cares about themselves, greed. And I'm so shocked that a person who was a prodigy of Nelson Mandela, like Cyril Ramaphosa, could today do so much harm to this country. I'm really, I just felt so bad about the whole thing.
Yeah, many of us cried, John. Thank you so much for calling 4 ways. We were speaking of Swati, about the complexity of human beings and how in this society it's like women are not allowed to be complex, like women to be specific, because it's almost like you can understand the complexity of other struggle stalwarts or men who were not struggle stalwarts, they were complex, but you don't appreciate that for a woman with everything that she has done and sacrificed, and that's such a challenge. And there's a message here that actually speaks to that from IB, who says, "Clement, I think one of the saddest part about seeing how Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela was treated is that it makes me wonder how many other women struggle. Many other women's struggle stories were sidelined. Although not always at the forefront of the struggle, we know women paid a huge cost. And even all these years later, I don't know if we have given that cost enough attention it deserves. Absolutely.
No, we
I
haven't.
don't think we have.
No, we haven't.
And I was saying to you earlier, I cannot think of anyone who has sacrificed as much as, or was even treated as harshly by the apartheid government as much as Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. I can't think of anyone. And that's not, as you said, that's not to downplay other people's contributions.
Absolutely.
People contributed, and it was the collective contribution that led us to this freedom we have.
Yes.
But my goodness, let's just appreciate and take a moment to say what this woman went through, no one should have gone through that.
Yeah, Black women, are held to a different standard. And I think there's this thing that we must be strong, and we must be strong all the time, which is unfair. And for me, it is a disservice to us as this country that when we look at history and we look at the stories that we tell, we're not telling the stories of women enough. My grandmother's mandate to me beyond this documentary and the story was to tell the stories of other women. And she always said, sweetie, I did not do this alone. It wasn't just me by myself. So it is important for you to ensure that the stories of other women are told. I also think that we also, I think, still are grappling with our history as well as a nation, as a people. And I think that, you know, we want to hold on and kind of move on fast and forgive and forget without understanding that, like, there is still a lot of healing that needs to be done. The TRC played its role, and it's happening now again. But I do think that it wasn't enough of an opportunity for people to be able to come and be held to account and to be able to tell these stories and to be able to say, this happened to me or my family and da-da-da. So I think there's still so much that we need to unpack, that we need to heal, that we need to talk about. And like you said, like, forgiveness for me is such an important thing, because if my grandfather could forgive the apartheid regime, I never understood why he couldn't forgive my grandmother. It just never made sense to me. It never made sense to me. Like, I grappled with it for a very long time. I think I still sometimes grapple with it, because I'm like, I don't understand how you cannot just forgive her for whatever it is that happened between the two of you, especially because she held you down when you were not here, you know? So to me, that's a big pain, and that's a big, like, thing that I think we as a family do really find difficulty in. The larger South Africa, we can deal with that, but within our own family construct, I think that, because it had so many implications for us as a family, and for her, it had so many implications, you know, the way he treated her. So that to me was a massive, massive, massive pain, and still is to a large extent.
I can imagine.
And I think, I'm sure part of her also still, even at the end, was like, but why not me? You know? So that I pray they're both resting. May they rest. And as Mandela Day is here, it is a time for us as a country to reflect and just do good and remember what he did. And obviously, my grandfather did so much for us. Both of them did. But they both made mistakes. And my grandfather made a lot of mistakes. And I think his biggest mistake was the way he treated my grandmother.
Sure. It's 10 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Every year on the 18th of July, globally, people mark Nelson Mandela International Day. How does that sit with you as his archivist, as an historian, when people remember his contribution and paint a picture of almost a sellout at times?
In fact, I was with 50 first-year Wits University students on Monday, and we started that conversation right there. Did Madiba sell out? And they wanted to talk about Mamweni and her contributions and so on. We landed at the end of that session in a very different place, where they demonstrated an openness to understanding the complexity of the challenges that Madiba faced and that whole leadership in the transition to democracy. Madiba's legacy is much stronger than that. I don't think we need to fear.
Professor Vern.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
When you're walking the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk on Sunday, the 26th of July, keep your eyes open, because Mazda is bringing wonder to the 8-kilometer route. There'll be 5 Mazda Wonder experiences, including a piano performance, a world of color, a bubble field, a Japanese garden, and the Mazda Wonder Hub. Visit one of the 5, then capture and share your wonder moment on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand. Mazda, where wonder awaits. T's and C's apply.
At the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag Mazda SA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion, because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours, and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Across the desk with Clement Manyathela on 702.
It's 8 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072 702 and 702.
Good morning, Clement and the guest. As someone who followed Mama Winnie from the time of Brentford up to the last, I was even at her funeral. I watched the documentary just to make up my mind. But the conclusion that I made out of the documentary series was that the wheels came off during the era of the 80s when South Africa was to be rendered ungovernable. That's the period of Yama Comrade. That was a very difficult period in the country for everyone. Now, she found herself with these people, Ama comrades, who in her case were the Mandela Football Club, and she had to lead them and live with them. So that's where everything went haywire. Kabel Pretoria.
Morning, Clement. Can you please not forget to give Mama the flowers of her fashion sense?
Oh,
Yo,
yes.
Clement, Mama, in all the episodes that I've watched, I would always be in awe of how Mama used to dress. Even in her old age, Mama slayed to the T. Yo, Mama was a queen of fashion. Please give her the flowers on that department. She used to rock Indwangu.
Oh, man. Was she dressing herself?
Oh, no. Every detail, every pearl,
Wow.
every everything, boo-boo, literally everything was her own design, her own selection. She would walk into a room sometimes, I would be like, okay, wow.
Okay, ma'am. I wasn't ready for that.
And I mean, my fondest memories are when she would be in hospital and she wasn't well.
Yeah.
And you'd walk in and she's still in her gown, set, and her pearls. And just always beautiful, no matter how she felt, no matter where literally she could be at her lowest point, feeling the worst that she could feel. And she would tell us, she's like, darling, you must never let them see you at your weakest. Never. So she was always intentional about every bit of everything, that every bead you saw. She was extremely, and everything was in place with my grandmother, literally everything. You never saw her out of place at any point in time, ever. But I think that was also just like a deliberate, sort of intentional part of who she was, how she dressed, how she showed up. She knew it mattered because she was pictured so heavily and she was watched all the time. So even that was like also a conscious, thing that she was doing. It was also like part of the struggle as well.
Yeah.
Showing up to court in ANC colors because she knew she couldn't wear the flag or whatever. So that even itself was intentional. She was like, sweetie, they can't stop me from how I dress and my fashion sense. They can't take that away from me. And she was right. When my grandfather appeared at the Trees and Child and he was in his Xhosa, that was deliberate. That was intentional. So everything that they did was intentional.
Good morning, Clement. Oscar here from Randfontein. Thank you so much for having your guest on the show. I think it's very enlightening. And I thoroughly enjoyed the documentary. I think it was beautifully done. I went back in my memory on a time when I was a neighbor to the Mandelas in Vilakazi Street in the 80s. And that somehow shaped or to a large extent shaped my political life later on. But I think from the documentary, I think I learned much more about Mam Winnie, the person, the grandmother, the mother. And I think it was beautifully done. I think it was fair that she gets to tell her part of the story and not just, what we got from the media and mostly negative media. So thank you for bringing her into the studio. And thank you so much for telling your grandmother's story. I think much more respect from my side after having watched the documentary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
True. Were you guys sort of able to separate her from, Mamuini versus Big Mommy, as you guys called her, and the Winnie Madikizela Mandela, the public figure? Were you able to separate it, or was it difficult because she just embodied who she was throughout and she was consistent, or was there a separation?
No, we had to. I think because there was always so much going on around us. And I think she also needed that. She needed that sense of family away from everything, because that was her safety. That was her safe space. So we were intentional about that as well, and very mindful about if she came into my home, I was very intentional about how I treated her, how I made her feel, her favorite meal, her favorite cake. She was diabetic, so I was mindful about that. So every single thing for us, and a lot in the end, because we just knew that, this was her time to rest as much as she could, because she never had an opportunity to sort of chill, So we gave her that as much as possible, as much as we could. I literally would just come with her, and we just would sit together, and we would just laugh and tell stories, and we would just chill and not talk about politics or anything that's going on around us. We genuinely were just as family, we just want to be together, and we just want to enjoy each other's company. And she was the most fun, funny, charming, warm, gracious, beautiful, human being I'd ever encountered in my life. There is no one like her. And there will not ever be a person like her, ever.
That documentary was incredible. It didn't tell you one side, it gave you both sides and made the viewer decide. It was absolutely outstanding. As a history teacher, my students are all watching the documentary now, and it is phenomenal. It was just done so brilliantly. Well done, Swati.
Thank you.
Swati.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you. I've had goosebumps the entire hour having this conversation, and thanks to you and your sister and the people that worked on the documentary for telling her story so fairly,
right,
and not trying to impose an opinion on us. And you've allowed us to make up our minds, and you're blessed to come from a lineage like that. And thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Clement. I told you, if you didn't comment, for me, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah.
Because I'm such a fan of yours.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me on. Trust me, I was so delighted when I even saw the text. So you continue doing what you're doing, because I listen and I watch you every single day.
Thank you.
So God bless you. And thank you to everyone who called in and everyone who watched it. Thank you. And I'm glad history teachers are having the kids watch it, because that's what's important to me. Is that generation watching it and knowing who Winnie is and was.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've accomplished a lot of what we wanted to do.
Please send our well wishes to your sister to get better.
Thank you.
It's 11 o'clock.
You could smash that snooze button for the 7th time. Or you could grab the new Berry Blue sports drink from Aquila Vive and get moving. Blue has never tasted so good. Bursting with bold berry flavor, packed with electrolytes and vitamins, and free from colorants. Aquila Vive sports and power drinks. Let's move.
Remember the first time your soul felt alive, or the last time music moved you so deeply you didn't want it to end? Well, that feeling is calling you back. You're officially invited to come experience soulful performances from global icons Kamasi, Washington, Temba, and Africa Mkhize, Nubia Gashia, Ibrahim Malouf, Judith Sipuma, Angelique Kijo, Ndabo Zulu, Melanie Scholz, Floetry, Thandiso Mazwai, and you name them. There are many other 40 world-class acts, 4 incredible stages at the Sandton Convention Center, one unforgettable experience at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, 25th to the 26th of September. This is Jazz Reignited. Get your weekend pass now via Ticketmaster.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The NPA says head of the anti-corruption watchdog IDEC, Andrea Johnson, has returned to work. Johnson was scheduled to testify at the Matlanga Commission on Monday, but made an about turn, saying she was ill and had to be rushed to hospital a few hours before her appearance. She has been linked to a questionable relationship with tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. Johnson joined a list of high-profile people, including Khan, who submitted medical certificates to avoid appearing at the commission. NPA spokesperson Kaiser Khanyago confirmed on the Clement Manyathela Show this morning that they met with Johnson yesterday.
Because Andre Johnson is a part of the EXCO of the NPA by virtue of him being the the head of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption. But he has met one-on-one with him yesterday.
Oh, so she's fine now? Because she was sick, and rushed to hospital a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no. She's fine now.
And the Madlanga Commission, it's returned its focus today to the theft of 200 million rand worth of cocaine from the Hawks offices. KwaZulu-Natal-based officer Mbongeleni Mpangase has taken the witness stand today. In June 2021, Mpangase was part of a contentious drug bust in Ispingo, where police confiscated more than 541 kilograms of cocaine from a port container. The confiscated drugs were later stolen a few months later at a Hawks storage facility in Port Shepstone. The bust and subsequent theft has been mired in controversy, with allegations of senior police officials working with drug cartels. 3 suspects accused of killing 13 people in Cleveland, east of Johannesburg, have abandoned their bail application in the magistrate's court. The trio faces 13 counts of murder and 14 for attempted murder following last month's shooting. The group stormed the Jumpers Informal Settlement and opened fire in the area. The bail application was postponed last week after their lawyer told the court he had been unable to properly consult with his clients at the Johannesburg prison where they are being held. But today, Pumutso Sadiki says they have decided to abandon their bail application for now.
After thorough consultation with the clients, they informed me that at this stage they want to abandon bail. And then I cannot force them to proceed with bail if my instruction is to abandon bail at this stage. I was not given the reasoning behind that, why they want to abandon bail. They just informed me that at this stage they are abandoning bail. And then we can resume bail in future.
And Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says cadre deployment must be abolished if municipalities are to survive. Hlabisa also says municipal councillors should have a matric certificate as a minimum requirement, and those in finance portfolios should possess an understanding of finances. Hlabisa was addressing the Cape Town Press Club last night about the local government white paper and the rise of coalition governments. Babalondenze has more.
COGTA Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says one of the main goals of the local government white paper is the professionalization of local government. He says if there's weak governance, nothing will ever succeed. Hlabisa says major infrastructure can't be maintained and managed on goodwill alone, and councils need competent engineers and not deployed cadres.
We are elevating this thing of cadre deployment. We are putting it and we are flushing it in the toilet. Just go away. Because cadre deployment, employing people on the basis of political association, is what has made our municipalities fail to perform.
Hlabisa says if a cadre is deployed to a certain municipality, it becomes difficult to institute consequence management.
Because sometimes you'll find that a cadre is a leader outside. If you dismiss him, you will be accounting to him outside after work.
Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Cape Town.
Gold is trading at $3,999.45 an ounce. The rand is at 16.46 to the dollar, 22.17 to the pound, 18.84 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $83.90 a barrel.
In the traffic in Waterkloof, traffic remains sluggish on the N1 North. This is from Water Avenue to the Flying Saucer interchange. And in Devlin, there's slow-moving traffic on the Golden Highway towards the N1 due to roadworks.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 24. The top story in EWN this hour. The NPA says head of anti-corruption watchdog IDEC, Andre Johnson, has returned to work.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Oh, yeah, I literally still have goosebumps from the conversation I was having with Swati, the granddaughter of Nelson Mandela and Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. She was so candid with us. She really was and she really just took us in to what the family has gone through and the dynamics in the family, the difficult moments, the difficult questions they ask themselves. Like, why did he treat her like that? Why did he not forgive her? But he could forgive the apartheid regime and people who were at the helm during the time. So, yeah, if you missed that conversation or you caught it late, make sure you catch the podcast because it was just so insightful. Understanding Mama Winnie from a premise of her grandchildren. And if you haven't watched the trial of Winnie Mandela, you want to go check it out on Netflix because it's quite gripping. It's time now for our relationship and sex feature.
Relationship issues.
Relationship talk.
On 702.
So, there are some of you that contacted us and said, hey, we need you to have more conversations as well about pleasure for same-sex couples. And, because we have had sort of conversations, but some of you felt we need more of them. So please, can you have those conversations? So I'm happy to tell you that as soon as I got contacted about that from a few people, including on Twitter, who were asking that we incorporate that as well more on our relationship and sex feature, then I sat down with the producers and I said, we have to have a conversation. So I'm so happy today that we're discussing how to enhance sexual pleasure in same-sex relationships. Like, sex is one of the ways we connect, right? It's one of the ways we communicate, we express intimacy. But even in long relationship, in loving relationships, many couples find themselves wondering how to keep things exciting, like how to communicate their desires more openly, or even discover new ways to experience pleasure together. And yet, pleasure isn't something that simply happens. It's something that us as couples create together. So it goes through communication, through trust, through consent, exploration, and just a willingness to learn what brings each other joy. Enhancing sexual pleasure can also lead to greater intimacy and satisfaction in your relationship. So today, we are exploring how same-sex couples can deepen intimacy, strengthen connection, and build more fulfilling sexual relationships, and what creates deeply satisfying sex in same-sex relationships, like from foreplay to communication to oral pleasure, anal stimulation, sex toys, positions, sexual confidence, you name it. And I mean, we often have conversations about sexual pleasure through and that are framed through a heterosexual lens. And I think that narrows our understanding of intimacy because pleasure looks different for every single couple, right? So how do you enhance pleasure in your own relationships as a same-sex couple? I'd like to hear from you on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Remember, this is adult radio, so no kids are allowed. In studio with me, I've got Casey Blake, who's a registered counselor and sexologist in studio now with us. Casey, always great to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement and listeners. It's always great to be here. Thank you.
So we often hear these conversations, as I said earlier, about sexual pleasure, and normally they're sort of framed through that heterosexual lens. Why is it important to recognize that pleasure looks different for every couple, whether same-sex or heterosexual?
So I'm so glad you've framed it this way, because the norm, if we think about what heteronormativity means, it means that we assume that people are straight as the norm. So we assume everybody around us is heterosexual, and therefore having whatever heterosexual sex is. There's scripts that we've got in society about heterosexual sex, even though nobody actually knows what other heterosexuals do. There are assumptions. And the way that I work in sex therapy is I don't work from a heterosexual normativity. I work from a queer theory lens, where I say, well, let's question everything. Let's queer everything. What do the people in the relationship want? Like, do they even know? Have we explored? And the queer lens says, let's throw the scripts out. because clearly you're here because the scripts aren't working. So I approach everybody in my office, regardless of their orientation, as if they're not heterosexual, as if they don't have these scripts. So I had to ask my WhatsApp story followers, very limited social media here. I was like, what is different if you're straight or if you're not straight? And they all reminded me, my approach is not the average approach, because I don't use the straight people as the norm, as this thing to model. So where I'm going with this is that a lot of people grow up learning this is how straight people do it. Sex education, if you even have it, is very heteronormative. God forbid we mention other possibilities because people get very scared. The benefit of not having these scripts is you've got to work on your curiosity. But you need permission to work on curiosity. You need permission to look for exploration. What actually feels good for you and your partner, regardless of body differences, samenesses. And there's a very heterosexual assumption that people who are the same sex or same gender know how to have sex easily because they both have the same parts.
Yeah, because they automatically know, what the other person enjoys.
And if anyone's ever had more than one partner of the same gender of their partner, not necessarily themselves, but you know that what worked on person one does not work on person two because they're different people, even if they both have penises or they both have vulvas. So we have to take this in mind, that the assumption that people who have the same body parts are going to automatically be know exactly what to do for each other. It's an assumption and it's wrong.
And it's a dangerous assumption.
It's going to lead to disappointment.
Yeah. So pleasure, of course, isn't just about the act itself, but it's about connection as well. What can you share with us as some of the ingredients of a truly satisfying sex life?
Well, first I want to question the act. What even is it, the act? If penis vaginal penetration's off the table,
then
what is the act?
Yeah.
Right? So we've got this fallacy of foreplay, is what I call it. Because heterosexuals think that what you do before penis penetration specifically, is all the build up to the real event. When you don't have a penis and a vagina if we were talking about same-sex couples who are also cisgender, then everything is the event. Everything that gives you sexual tingles, that feeling, that yummy, that's all part of the event, whether that's running someone's fingers running down the small of your back in the right way, kissing your neck. But if that's something you like, right? All through to kissing, oral sex, digital sex, which actually means with your hands, not with your social media, because these are our digits.
Okay, digital.
So like hand sex, mouth sex, rubbing each other's thighs. The obsession of penetration is heteronormative because of the whole reproductive element, right? So when we don't have to worry about that, how do we make each other feel pleasure? If we're looking for orgasms, how do we make each other come? It doesn't have to be about penetration. Even with gay couples, with gay men, there's this pressure for penetration. Someone must be the penetrator or the penetrated. What if someone just really enjoys receiving and giving oral sex to their partners?
And that's an act for them.
That's
and
it. That's what they want. There's no need. There's all this pressure about putting a penis somewhere. And it has to be not in a mouth. But what if the mouth is perfect?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Cassie, you're raising such an important point, because I've never really thought of it that way. Of course, there's this obsession with penetration. It's like, that's why when you ask people, oh, did you have sex? Or were you intimate with each other? No, we were not. We just cuddled and did oral.
Oral what? Did you give each other an oral exam like you do when you stand in front of the class and you read your text?
Precisely, right? Because we think that sex, the definition of it is, it's just when you're putting a penis inside something else. And maybe there's
for some reason the mouth isn't a something else in this thought process either.
Yeah. And I think, you're inviting us into a conversation to redefine what that act is.
Yes.
For ourselves. And we don't have to be stuck to these notions of what sex used to be and how we were told by society what it should be. Let it be for what you want it to be.
If your goal is pleasure, then that's beautiful. So unlike the normal heteronormative conversations where LGBT people, queer people are excluded by definition, heterosexual people can benefit from this conversation just as much.
True. I want to take a quick ad break now, and then when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation, Casey. I see some of our listeners are also sharing their experiences with us. How do you enhance pleasure in your relationship as a same-sex couple? Feel free to send a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702. And what do you make of what Casey is saying, the obsession that we have about penetration, right, as the act? What if there's something else that gives you pleasure, but not necessarily penetration? Does that not qualify then to be the act itself for you? So what is the thing for you that gives you pleasure? And are you finding it difficult to bring it into your relationship, to have a conversation about it, for it to be accepted? What are your dynamics? Give me a call on 011-883-0702, and please share with us how you enhance pleasure in your relationship on 072-702-1702. That's the WhatsApp line. It's 18 after 11.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
The one thing that struck me as a thread that I thought was of particular interest for us, that in countries that have vastly differing access to medical care, to palliative care and so on, we need to tread with particular care in this country. This could end up being not necessarily people's freely made choice, but might be a reflection of the society's failure.
The risk would be that people would be coerced into agreeing to have medically assisted dying.
Professor Willem Landman.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Josie, my Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people, for the people on Sunday, the 26th of July. Babize bonke. And this year, you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 5-kilometer Victoria Yards route takes you from Ellis Park through the inspirational Joburg Cricket Club into Victoria Yards and past the Troyville Hotel. You can finish off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking part in the 5-kilometer, 8-kilometer, or 15-kilometer route, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the city of Joburg.
Chamberlain now has 10 branches throughout Gauteng and a new branch in the East Rand in September. With 36,000 items in stock 98.5% of the time. Our available and knowledgeable staff are ready to help you. Big on stock, strong on service, built on values. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Are you by any chance interested in music production, audio post-production, live event production, or even radio broadcasting? You need to come to our open day at Academy of Sound Engineering. You get to tour our state-of-the-art world-class facilities, meet industry professionals, and really get to learn about what career opportunities are available to you in entertainment. To book your spot, visit our website, asc.co.za. We can't wait to have you here. Academy of Sound Engineering, ultimate entertainment education.
Incredible Mazda moments of wonder await around every scenic twist and turn at 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Walk the Talk. Because on Sunday, 26th July, you get to discover 5 Mazda wonder experiences on the 8-kilometer route from a stunning Japanese garden to a world of color. Visit one and share your wonder moments on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Then tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand thanks to Mazda, where wonder awaits. Official vehicle partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. T's and C's apply.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk
on 702.
21 minutes after 11 o'clock, Casey Blake is a registered counselor and sexologist who's guiding us through a conversation this morning about enhancing sexual pleasure in same-sex relationships. And I want to hear from you what your experiences have been. And also, and maybe this is, I want to, Casey, with your permission, I want to ask the listeners who perhaps are in heterosexual relationships what they've tried to do, but it was rejected because of the assumption that, no, that's what same-sex couples do.
Oh, yes, please.
Right?
Yes.
Because that happens, right? I've had
much.
calls from, women who will say, oh, I tried to suggest anal sex, for instance.
Yeah.
And the guy said, no, how dare you? Or it's the guy who said, hey, can we have anal sex? And the lady said, oh, are you gay? Right? So I'd like to hear from that from our listeners on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 0727021702. Have you had those instances where there are certain things you want to introduce, in your intimacy, in your sex life, in your relationship, but the other party seems to go, but that's for same-sex couples. But also, if you are in a same-sex relationship, you're gay, you're queer, how do you enhance pleasure in your relationship as a same-sex couple? Your calls and WhatsApps, please. So, Casey, we were talking earlier on about foreplay and, what we think it is and what it may not be. So from a sex therapist point of view,
yeah,
when does it start becoming foreplay? Is it when we start kissing and we start doing oral and other things before penetration or what?
No. So foreplay is what happens between sexual encounters. So once you're already in the room and you're kissing, that's not foreplay. That's part of the sexual encounter. So foreplay is what happens between encounters, in the build-up to the encounter, the planning, the messaging about, I'm so looking forward to tomorrow night. I've been thinking about you. I can't wait to put my hands here, there. The feeling of you putting your hands here, there. That's the foreplay. The foreplay is what happens before we play, right? Before play. If sex is the play, which includes the kissing and the sensual touching, then foreplay happens before there's an encounter. It's the build-up. It's that, how do you both engage in this excitement between each other while you're getting ready in the week beforehand, in the day beforehand, the hours, thinking about what it's going to feel like to be wearing this kind of item of clothing that I know you like, that kind of stuff.
That is foreplay.
That's
do you think we invest a lot of time in that? Or because when we have conversations about, because women often say, we are not like you as men. You need to work on us. I would like to receive a message at work and you tell me, I can't wait to see you later. Or, the things we're going to do to each other later. It's there are women who often call and say, for us, that gets us ready. So by the time...
That's the foreplay.
That's the foreplay for them. Whereas for you as a man, you're thinking, foreplay is when you arrive, just take your clothes off and we start kissing and that's it.
All people, regardless of gender, benefit from foreplay. Because it puts you in the headspace, it puts you in the mood. So even having an emoji that the two of you know, that's the I'm looking forward to sexy time with you. Whether it is a little bunny on in your emojis or something that's cute for you, that is innocent enough that if your kids see your phone, it's not a motivational image that they shouldn't have. They shouldn't be able to see over your shoulder. It's just an emoji, but you know what it means. The two of you know that if you send the grapes, things are going to happen.
It's going down tonight if you receive the grapes.
It just means I'm thinking about you in that kind of way,
Yeah. What role does communication play in enhancing our sexual pleasure? And what do you think are the conversations that as couples we should be having before, during, and even after sex? Should we normalize reviewing?
Yes.
Even
But
sex?
as long as we think about it as let's look at the data and not let's look at a critique and give you a mark.
Yes, of course.
If you're worried about being critiqued and getting failed, you can't listen to the conversation. But if you are cool, I had a good enough time, you had a good enough time, let's talk about the times that were really good and the times that were less good so that we know where to do more and less of and where there's space to explore. So I think even the emoji requires communication. You have to both agree that you would like. First, one, would you like to receive messages that I'm thinking about you in a sexy way? If that's a yes on both people's sides, then we discuss what'll work. If it's a no from one and a yes from the other, how do we make this work? How do we both meet each other halfway somehow?
Yeah.
Right? Because if everyone moves to one side, someone's making sacrifices and there is no compromise. Right? So how do we meet each other? What kinds of sensations feel good? So a fantastic exercise to do at least once a year for every single relationship is let's set some time aside and we're not looking for orgasm. We're looking for where does your body like me touching you and how. So you're going to put some time aside, and this is not a sensate focus exercise for those of you who know what that means, where we are focusing on the receiving experience without communication. This is pleasure mapping. We are communicating. What does it feel like when you put light pressure on my body, Start from the hair on my head down to my toes, right? The whole body. And then swap. So where do you like touch? Light, soft, deep pressure. Fingernails versus fingertips. Maybe some temperature here. So I'm going to ask everyone to just give yourself a few seconds to think about a non-sexual body part like your hand. I'm going to talk you through my hand for a few seconds. Imagine it's your hand. Right, so if you, and those of you who are not currently driving and are able to, follow along with me. Take your hand and one hand, just lightly put your fingers over the top and just see how it feels on the top of your hand. Maybe go each finger one at a time. Now turn your hand over. Does it feel different? Does it feel better, worse, just different? Now use your nails. Back to the top of your hand, use your nails.
Actually feels good.
Right? Now what if you press harder? Mister, you're not doing it with us.
Abel, he's busy pressing things there.
So now press a little harder. Give yourself a bit of a massage versus that light touch.
Yeah.
Some people would prefer that, some people don't. Now do it on inside of your hand. We've just spent maybe 20 seconds focusing on our hand. We did light, we did texture with nails, we did pressure, right? That was a whole experience. As you said, you were quite surprised. Actually, this is quite nice. Imagine you get the opportunity to do that with your whole body. Your partner gets to find out, and you tell them, no, that's not nice, that's ticklish, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And we learn.
True. And you'll find out parts you didn't know were so ticklish or so good.
I often talk about the experiment of inside the elbow and behind the knee. Who likes being touched, kissed, licked there? If you haven't tried it, you won't know.
You wouldn't know. True. So of course, same-sex relationships are diverse and partners may switch roles or not adhere to any roles at all. How do assumed gender roles or even sexual roles limit people's ability to experience pleasure authentically or even affect intimacy and expectations between partners?
Oh, this is huge because we live in this heteronormative world which tells us the man is the aggressor, the initiator. The woman is the one who is the permitter, wants the sex, but can't want it too much. And it's all these so confusing things. So if there are two women, how do they initiate? If there are two men, how do they permit? Right? So gender roles really influence how we perceive our abilities to be part of same-sex encounters because we don't have the script. We don't know what's right, so we actually have to use communication and be like, I feel like I'm flirting with you. So we're just at the initial stages, you're just going on your first date. Is this flirting? Is this being friendly? You have to ask because without the assumptions, and I hear this from so many women who date women, I don't know if she likes me or if she's flirting with me because it feels the same to me.
Yeah. How do you, this is so
So you have to explicitly say, I'm flirting with you.
Yeah.
If it's not welcome, let me know and I'll switch gears.
Yeah. And I mean, we're in a society that doesn't like defining things, eh?
No, we're in a society that doesn't like rejection. Yeah. So if we have to ask permission, we open ourselves for rejection. So we don't define things so that we can avoid the rejection.
Rejection, yeah. Shoo.
I think that's the society we're in.
Yeah. It's 11:30. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Mongezi, good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Let's start here. After a brief illness that stopped her from appearing before the Matlanga Commission, Adaked Andre Johnson is back at work. Johnson was scheduled to testify at the Matlanga Commission on Monday, but made an about turn saying she was ill and had to be rushed to hospital a few hours before her appearance. Now, she has been linked to a questionable relationship with tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. At the same time, KZN officer Mbongele Nimpangase has told the Matlanga Commission he knows nothing about the theft of 200 million rand worth of cocaine from the Hawks offices. Now, in June of 2021, Mpangase was part of a drug bust operation that led to the confiscation of more than 500 kilograms of cocaine from a container depot. Mpangase says he was instructed by his superiors to transport the cocaine to a Hawks storage facility in Port Shepstone, south of KZN. And Beijing has accused U.S. President Donald Trump of making fabrications after he said China had meddled in U.S. election data. Trump revived his long-standing baseless claims of voter fraud ahead of the midterm polls. Now, in a White House address yesterday, Trump says the U.S. electoral system had been dangerously exposed and urged lawmakers to adopt new restrictions on voting despite scant appetite for the measures, even within his own Republican Party. Now, those are your headlines this EWN and more at midday, or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
If you're coming from Johannesburg CBD, there's traffic pressure on the M2 West. This is towards the Crown Interchange. In Devlin, there's still some slow-moving traffic on the Golden Highway, and it is due to those persisting roadworks. Look out for 40 traffic lights in 4 ways at Monte Casino and Winnie Mandela Drive, in Woodmead at Woodmead Drive and Woodlands, as well as in the capital city. Traffic lights are out in Centurion at Old Johannesburg and Trichard, as well as in Hohenkloof at Eufus and Monument. That is my last traffic update. Karabo is up next with the latest one. From me, Khumutso Munya, you have a great weekend.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Joburg is calling. Step into the heart of the city as 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk takes over the streets once again. The Gauteng provincial government invites you to lace up, show up, and experience Johannesburg like never before. From iconic landmarks to vibrant neighborhoods, live music, local flavor, and the unmistakable energy of the city. Every step tells a story. Bring your friends, bring the family, and be part of the movement. This isn't just a walk. It's Joburg, alive and on the move.
Be in it to win it with Hollywood Bets and Playtech. 1.5 million rand in cash and a Haval Jolion Pro are up for grabs. Bet 2 rand or more on slots, 10 rand or more on crash, and 50 rand or more on live casino games. Slots such as Mega Fireblaze light up the reels. Cash it and kick it make multiplier magic while adventures in Wonderland Live bring fantasy to life in live casino. Competition runs until 31 July. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
We asked rugby legend Francois Steyn what he thinks of the all-new Toyota BZ4X. France, would you say the BZ4X is a rugged all-wheel drive SUV?
Yeah.
Cool. Was the acceleration and handling good?
Yeah.
All right. So you think the BZ4X can handle South Africa?
Well,
there you have it. The all-new Toyota BZ4X, an all-wheel drive battery electric SUV made to handle South Africa. The BZ4X. It just got real.
702 was in conversation with FNB discussing the 2026 Retirement Insight Survey and the Retirement Reality Gallery.
We commissioned some artists to actually interpret our statistics in an artistic manner. You will see how these artists are interpreting the impact of inflation when it comes to retirement. You know, if you can afford a bag of Millie Meal right now, 20 years down the line, you'll probably be able to afford 1 cup of that bag. So that hits harder than us telling you that inflation is going to eat into your retirement savings.
Visit the Retirement Reality Gallery at Goodman Gallery in Rosebank until 19 July. Entry is free. Brought to you by FNB. FNB is a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk.
On 702.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're having a conversation this morning on our relationship sex feature about enhancing sexual pleasure in same-sex relationships. And I must say, Casey, you've made a lot of people do the hand exercise and people feel like, yeah, it felt good. And you were saying actually off air, doesn't that just show you that we don't take time with our bodies?
Right.
We don't touch ourselves. I mean, until today, I've never touched myself the way you describe
with
now.
intention, with curiosity.
And curiosity.
Like, what does this feel like? So for everyone who's going to put lotion on in the next 24 hours, can you give yourself an extra 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Just go slowly and feel it.
Intentional. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I got a question earlier on Twitter from someone who says, who says, "Hi Clement, please can you ask Casey there? My issue is that my partner is not as explorative as I am. So he only enjoys penetrating me, but sometimes I do want it the other way and he's not so explorative? How do you advise that I bring in the conversation and get him to try new things?
So we've got roles, and there's nothing wrong with being comfortable with what you like, but you're not comfortable. Not that you're unhappy, but it sounds like you want more. You want more variety. So I would ask the questions, what about receiving does your partner not want to do? Because sometimes we all have a different level. We all grow up in this heteronormative soup, which means we all have internalized homophobia, right? So what is it? Could it be an element of he's okay penetrating but not being penetrated? And could it be somewhere, somehow, a internalized homophobic thing? Could it be a physical discomfort thing? Does he not want it because of what are the reasons? Not because you're trying to criticize him, but you're literally curious, what about the act is he not comfortable with? Would he be comfortable with anal sensation? So how about if you were to do analingus on him, or using your thumbs and your fingers on the outside? Would that be fine? Would it be okay to just is it about the sensation in he's imagining versus what's possible? What kind of stuff? Right?
What is it?
So if it's pain, what is that about? Is there something you can anal training is when you slowly let your body become comfortable with anal penetration, starting with your pinky finger and moving up to thicker things. Could that be a thing? Is there a physical thing that a pelvic floor physiotherapist would help with? Because anytime the body is incredibly tense and doesn't let things happen, a pelvic floor physio is often a very helpful step to take. What about the act does he not want? What about it do you want? Right? So what are the sensations you are looking for? Do the two of you engage in other kinds of sex, or are you like the heteronormative people who are stuck on penetration? Do you both engage in or want to engage in oral sex? What other sexual things have you discussed to broaden the reciprocity in your sexual encounters?
Yeah. There's another tweet that I also got. I'm just not finding it here, but someone was asking along the lines of they are sort of they appear as a bit as feminine or feminine appearing, if for lack of a better phrase. And they said that whenever they get into a relationship, the assumption often is you have to be the one that receives. And it's like, I'm struggling with that because I'm not the one that receives. That's not what I enjoy. And he was asking, how do we navigate something like that?
I think it's fun, and I say fun in a very interesting way, to name assumptions in a safe space. So when you're on the date, laugh about how you like penetrating. Just throw it out there that people make an assumption because they look at you. Can we hear the gendered, heteronormative stuff filtering in? Because only feminine people get penetrated. The most common sex toy for heterosexuals is strap-ons, so that women can penetrate men.
Oh, is that the most famous sex toy?
It's the most common. Next to the clitoral stimulation, which is not a heteronormative, everybody with vulvas likes to buy those. I'm using lots of generalizations here. I can clock the languaging. But next to the clitoral stims, strap-ons. Because women also enjoy penetrating. And men also enjoy receiving penetration. And this is in heterosexual relationships. So women will be penetrating their husbands or their boyfriends or their partners. Because their men want it. They enjoy it. They've had conversations. You don't just land up there after the second date. You have to know, because consent is everything. It's the difference between sex and assault. You have to know that this is what you both are wanting to explore at the very least. So the assumptions that a feminine presenting person would not want to penetrate is once again an assumption. It is incorrect.
And I mean, when you look at research, it suggests that many people with vulvas don't reach orgasm through penetration alone.
Nope.
And I wonder what this then tells us.
Nearly more than 3/4.
Jeez, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about the importance of just broadening our understanding of what satisfying sex looks like?
That's such an important. So, what makes sex satisfying to the listeners? I want you to think about to yourself. When you are having good sex, what makes it good sex for you? Is it that there is as much interest in your enjoyment as your partner's? Is it on, how do you know when sex is finished, is my question. I'm even asking the heterosexuals. How do you know when sex is finished?
Is it when you've ejaculated? Is it when you've had an orgasm or what?
Right? Because some women, they have multiple orgasms and the first few aren't that big. They're nice, they're pleasurable, but the more they orgasm, the better they have. So if they have one orgasm and that's the end, is it satisfying for them or is it just like more frustrating? Right? How do you know when you've both satisfied? Right? Because the assumption of ejaculation ending sex is incredibly heteronormative. And if we think about it, it's actually all about reproduction.
Yeah.
It's not actually about the sexual connection.
All right, let's talk now about other forms of intimacy, because there are many forms of intimacy that don't involve penetration. How does like mutual masturbation or body-to-body contact, sensual touch, how do all of that and others deepen intimacy between partners?
So I think we have to define intimacy, because often people use intimacy as a synonym for sex, and it's not. Intimacy is about an intimate connection. You can feel emotionally intimate with someone and not physically. You can feel physically intimate with someone. So we have to figure out what kinds of intimacy are you looking for in your relationship. Coming to the mutual masturbation, for some people, sex is nice, but it's not really what intimacy is for them. It's more intimate for them to have a nice deep conversation about being human beings. And the sex is just a sex. So what kind of intimacy do you want? When we're talking about sexual intimacy, it can be so hot to watch each other make yourselves come. How better to learn what your partner likes than watching them bring themselves pleasure, right? Asking them to describe what they do before, after, during, whatever works for you. If you're a concentrator, you can't talk and describe while you're busy, but maybe you can do that before or after. Watching each other. Then we've got that sensual stuff that you spoke about. Erogenous zones are what you discover with that pleasure mapping exercise. Where does it feel yummy? What feels yummy? So discovering, using toys. So if you want to play with your senses, and from a sensory perspective, we've got sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Those are the 5 basics, right? What if we remove one or enhance another? What if we put a blindfold on? What changes for you? Now that requires so much trust. For you to be blindfolded, it requires so much trust. So how do you build trust in your relationship, right? I can't tell you. I don't know what's going on in your relationships, listeners. But think about that. If you want to, what do you want? Some people think that incense is so sexy, others want to choke. They walk in and have a coughing fit. So once again, communication. What makes a space sexy for you, right? What makes a person sexy for you? What is sexy touching? Is having your knees touching thrilling, right? Body-to-body contact, what does that mean? Mutual massage, trying to use your body to massage your partner's body, right? Thinking about this on top of the oral sex, the hand sex, the other sex. Have you noticed I'm not talking about the sex stuff.
Yeah.
I'm talking about non-genital contact.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. And I mean, the hands are one of the most versatile tools we have during intimacy, and how often do we use that? Speaking of the toys, I mean, they've become far more mainstream, but are sex toys necessary for vulva owners? And how can couples introduce them into their relationships in a way that feels more playful rather than just intimidating or forced?
So we have to think about the different types of toys there are and the different types of sensations vulva owners are looking for. So people assume that lesbians need strap-ons. Maybe those people don't enjoy penetration at all, so why would strap-ons even be needed? So people are so threatened, I'm going to say cisgender men are so threatened by dildos because I don't know why. It's not a replacement, it's an enhancement. It's being used with you. But vibrators are things that humans can't replicate. You cannot vibrate as a human being. Where are we going to put the battery? You can't vibrate. Vibrators create sensation, and they're often used in spinal cord injuries and people with neurological damage for them to feel sensation because they need the intensity. A vibration is an intense sensation. So toys are all about amplifying your pleasure, bringing in pleasure where you want more. How do you introduce this? Because it's fun, it's playful. I think the sensation, if you have an electric toothbrush, just run it over your hand like you did with the hand massage and see if you like that. Can you produce that as a human being? Reproduce it? No. So let's de-threaten, I don't know what the fancy word is, for destigmatize maybe. Making sex toys, let's look at them as the sexual aids and the additions that they are. They create sensations to add pleasure. So for gay men, we've got vibrating cock rings. Have you ever wanted to turn into a vibrator? That's what a vibrating penis ring does, right? It makes you vibrate. It's a sensation that most men don't get experience with. It's phenomenal. Clitoral vibrators can be used on all bodies, on all body parts. So are men exploring with vibrations on their penis, on the head of their penis, the frenulum, down their shaft? What about their scrotum?
Yeah. Let me ask about the clitoral stimulation, because someone also was asking about what more options are there for females, like lesbian, same-sex, who... And she was saying that because sometimes it feels like we're doing the same thing. So what do you advise them to try out that's exciting and can enhance their intimacy and sex life? But clitoral stimulation is, of course, popular for, people who've got vulvas. What are some of the most common mistakes couples make when it comes to clitoral stimulation? And is there such a thing as too much stimulation, 100%. Particularly when it comes to the clitoris or the penis?
So we have to check in with our partners. Some people, their clitorises and the head of the penis, if you think about from a biological perspective, it's actually the same tissue. So during pregnancy, that tissue was the same part. It developed into either the head of the clitoris or the head of the penis. Some people need to be so aroused for any kind of stimulation to not be painful on their head. So you need to communicate with your partner if you want, for the clitoris vulva owners, does clitoral stimulation need to happen after you've gotten off or before? Because sometimes it is better after an orgasm or worse after an orgasm. Better before an orgasm, worse after an orgasm. Where is your comfort zone? Where is your pleasure potential? Does it need to be over the clitoral hood? So using the toys still needs to be, how does this toy work for you? We've also got suctions or blowers that blow air onto the clitoris. Phenomenal feedback, even on penis heads. But it's also person dependent, how you want to use it. For the couple who messaged, I don't know what you're already doing, but I would say set some time aside for non-performative sex. Do the pleasure mapping exercise. Find out where you enjoy things. Add or take away a sensation. Add music if you don't normally use music. Music you find sexy and see if you both do. Add a sensation, take away a sensation, blindfold. But be curious. I think we get so stuck on the orgasm. If we take away orgasm as the goal, there's amazing processes and journeys we can go on. Because we're just looking for what feels nice. Let's do more of that. Rather than wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Whew. It's 9 minutes now before 12 o'clock.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
You've always moved in living color because your greatness was never monotone. Now let the world marvel at you in the all-new Aura 5 SUV. Crafted with modern design, luxurious interior, and intelligent tech. Make your next move in the all-new Aura 5 SUV, starting from only 364,900. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more.
Johannesburg is calling on Sunday, the 26th of July. Join thousands of Joburgers for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank. Walk the historic streets of the CBD, starting and finishing at Ellis Park, and celebrate a city on the rise, growing, evolving, and full of possibility. It's more than a walk, it's Josie coming together. Register now for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Standard Bank is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Relationship issues?
Relationship talk.
On 702.
Right, 8 minutes now before 12 o'clock. We're just about to wrap up our conversation with Casey Blake, who's a registered counselor and sexologist. We've been talking about how to enhance sexual pleasure in same-sex relationship. I want to talk quickly, Casey, about the prostate, because that's often described as the male G-spot. What role does foreplay and prostate stimulation play in creating a pleasurable and comfortable experience before anal penetration?
So I think that if we are reframing foreplay, any kind of prostate stimulation is already a sexual act on its own, and it can be quite arousing, it's pleasurable, but it's based on feedback. So does your partner enjoy... So I've spoken to lots of people who say they enjoy prostate stimulation, but not the thrusting sensation. So they enjoy someone inserting a finger and just briefly like doing the come hither feeling over the prostate without doing any thrusting motion. Some people enjoy the thrusting motion against the prostate. So it's all about the sensation that is nice, and you have to discover it together. But on anal, please, people, lube, there is never enough lube. If you think you've got enough lube, add a little bit more. The anus is not a self-lubricating organ. So the wetter, the better, 100% here. And if you're not using silicone toys, silicone lube is often advised for anal because it's more slippery. But water-based is always a fantastic backup. So prostate is just another organ that can be delicious when stimulated appropriately.
Properly, yeah. And many people, you find that are quite curious about prostate stimulation, but they don't know where to begin. So for couples out there who want to explore it safely and comfortably, like which sex position is best for prostate stimulation, or what can they try?
I would say the person being penetrated, being stimulated, needs to be comfortable. So if you're comfortable on your back with your legs open, that's a fantastic space. If you're, it's really dependent. If you're more comfortable on your knees, like in a child's pose from yoga, or on all fours, it really is, where are you comfortable? I recommend finding your comfort first. Also, penetrating yourself is a fantastic starting point for you to find out, like, is this something you want to do with somebody else? Maybe it's easier to do it with somebody else and not with yourself, depending on your mobility with your shoulders and your spine. But I would start with communication. If there is an ick factor for you, if the person being penetrated has had a recent bowel movement, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Gloves are not your winter gloves, please. Either nitrile or or latex gloves. You can buy them at Clicks and Discount wherever.
Not your winter gloves.
But or even inner condoms. Female condoms are fantastic barriers for anal penetration. And start with the smallest finger first. And just see what it's like. If there is any kind of pain, we never want to push through pain with sex. Never want to push through pain, because it needs to be, when we talk about painful sex, is it wanted or unwanted?
Yeah, and I told you earlier that someone said, sent a Twitter and said, but I find that my partner always is in pain. But my partner tells me, no, I'm not in pain, I'm enjoying it. But I was like, but it feels like he is. So how do you navigate that?
How do you know that they're in pain? What is the body language telling you? What is the difference between a pain expression in their body language versus a pleasure clench?
Pleasurable pain.
Right? Because our bodies clench during pleasure sometimes. So how do you differentiate that?
Okay.
Are they making sounds that sound painful, that is different to their pleasure sounds?
Yeah.
But if the person is in pain and uncomfortable, it's okay to pause, to stop, to be like, okay, how do we make this good for both of us? Because if I think you're in pain, I think I'm hurting you, I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So pause and just do a check-in.
Pause, do a check-in,
All right.
slow down if you need to.
Yeah. Casey Blake, you've been great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
As
you so
always,
much,
Casey
Clement.
Blake is a registered counselor and sexologist.
The world is moving fast. Consumer mindsets and preferences are changing in real time. AI is creating new rules and timelines are shorter than ever. At Plus 94 Research, we help leaders reduce uncertainty. We deliver authentic, real-time data grounded in proven methodologies and powered by relevant, cutting-edge technology. So when decisions can't wait, you move forward with clarity, confidence, and impact. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision-making.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Dolly from Boertersig is vegetarian-ish, with a reputation to uphold. Here's what she whispered about the half chicken and a single side for $1.25.
What? I don't eat chicken, but for Nando's, I make the exception.
Well, good thing there's a salad on the side for appearances. Of course. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Residents are reminded that Rand Water will undertake the second and final phase of its planned maintenance on the 17th of July from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. During these 12 hours, several Johannesburg water systems may experience poor pressure or no water. Residents are encouraged to store water in advance and use it sparingly during the maintenance period. Systems affected include Sandton, Midrand, Randbeck, Roodepoort, Soweto, Lenasia, Orange Farm and surrounding systems. For updates, follow Johannesburg Water communication channels. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wheeler.
Good morning, Mandy.
Good morning, Clement.
What's popping?
The Madlanga Commission has issued a new subpoena for the IDAC head, Andrea Johnson.
Good.
As she returns to work. So we'll find out from the NPA. And, of course, you spoke to Kaiser Khanyago, so we'll replay a little bit of that. The Commission is also due to hear Suleiman Karim's application at 2 o'clock this afternoon. But I see there's some reporting that apparently his doctor's out the country.
So convenient. Okay.
Wouldn't you be out the country if you were Suleiman Karim's doctor? Public Protector has found that the Gauteng municipalities failed to enforce food safety laws in the informal sector. We'll look at this, the procurement reforms that are being mooted. They risk making the state less effective, according to analysts. And it's Friday.
Sports.
And good things
too.
too.
Do we have Formula One this weekend?
Yeah, we do. I think they're in Belgium.
It's in Belgium. Yeah. Okay.
And then there's a World Cup. And I'm on a run. I'm on a roll. I keep beating my team. So
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So you the prophet, right?
I'm the prophet.
I've got the title this week.
Yeah. So a final match between Argentina and Spain.
I'm going Argentina.
I'll definitely.
The rest of my
Argentina.
team is going Spain.
Really?
Yes, all of them are so sure.
Argentina too.
They also went France and England.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Prophetess Mandy Wheeler coming up after the news at 12. Thank you for listening to the Friday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Have a beautiful weekend, my friends. We'll be back on Monday between 9 and 12. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
A very good afternoon. I'm Mungi Zikoko. We begin with news just in. The Madlanga Commission has subpoenaed tainted IDAC head Andrea Johnson after she failed to appear before the inquiry on Monday. Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michaels confirmed this morning that the inquiry is determined to hear Johnson's testimony as soon as possible, with her appearance expected early next